Well, I think it's time that somebody says it. I mean, a lot of people have been saying it. The Destiny community's been saying it for a while, but in light of the recent developments with Bungie, I think it's time they figure out a way to do Destiny 3. And maybe they have to discuss this with PlayStation, get the funding, whatever. We're going to discuss this in the live environment, okay? And I'm going to try to put together an upload about this. You might see that tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel so you can see the more curated content like that. But I just want to walk through some of the big points and bullet points of like why, and just kind of see what the audience thinks. Now, the news cycle is kind of dead. We are sitting on sort of that period right before showcase season. Next week, last week of May, we may see something from PlayStation. There's an event or a showcase or a state of play or something, allegedly planned. And so we're kind of in a holding pattern. And I thought, in light of everything that we talked about with Marathon, and my video, if you haven't seen it, Bungie killed Marathon, make sure and watch that. I walk through all of the reasons why I think that game's ultimately headed for failure, and it has nothing to do with the devs or the game itself. It's, a leadership problem at Bungie in a significant way. And it just made sense to be like, you know what? This is it. This is the time for them to do this. So if you're watching this later on YouTube, hit the like button. It does help the video. It'll help find more people. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You guys watching live, do that as well. Also, I do this full time, and the main way I'm able to do that is people who support me directly. We are not a very large channel. We just got back on Twitch, so a great way to help me out is if you're paying for Amazon Prime, head to the Twitch channel. It's just over there, Reforge Gaming TV, and you can use your Twitch Prime on me every month. Make sure you do that. It's manual. It doesn't auto-renew. And then on YouTube, a lot of you have continued to watch on YouTube. Consider clicking join, and then make sure you pick a member plus. That gets you into all the extra content that I do, and it enables me to do this full time. So let's just kind of walk through this, very, very, very briefly, all right? And then we can kind of discuss it with the audience. So first and foremost, why? Why do I think this? Well, I think it's undeniable that the game has pulled. The name of Destiny has pulled. Despite what you think about Bungie and their current status in the industry, I think, Blizzard Activision turns things around or has turned things around. Plenty of developers have turned things around, have saved their reputation, whether it's CD Projekt Red or Blizzard. And I think it's obvious, though, that Bungie didn't want to. And a lot of people question that. They're like, well, why didn't they want to make Destiny? It was their cash cow and has been their cash cow for so long. I think it's been really, really hard on the company to maintain. I think that's clear. You can see that in the way they relied on parallel development in the past. You can kind of see that in the way that they struggled to make content. Okay, so that's my theory as to why. They sort of internally said, this isn't feasible, this isn't sustainable. The company as a whole doesn't want to do this for another 10 years. So they started spinning up all these other projects, okay? That has not gone well, to the point that like 200-something employees have been absorbed by Sony. One of the projects was absorbed. They've spun up a new studio, the LFG studio, to work on one of those projects. And I think PlayStation wants a Destiny 3. That's just a gut feeling that I have. So that ultimately leads to the question of why and how, or like how would they even do this? First and foremost, I think you got to get rid of the leadership. I think that is just absolutely clear at this point. Leadership has to go. The entire company needs to be restructured. I think they have institutional knowledge. I think they have mountains and mountains of data and intel on player behavior. I think that's very valuable. A lot of people are now acting like Bungie has no right to say anything about live service because of, what they've done with their own game and what they've done with Marathon. I think this unfortunately ignores the fact that they have a decade of experience. Even if the coach of a sports dynasty suddenly starts not having good seasons or making questionable calls, you wouldn't take away from 10 years of doing it and doing it well. Like Destiny's had its highs and lows, but Destiny has succeeded where other games, so many other games, have tried and failed, okay? So I do think they are still in a position to not just build Destiny, but I do think they're also in a position to speak on live service, purely from their own experience. Even right now, they could speak definitively to what not to do when the demand goes down, what to do when things start to go poorly. They could speak very definitively to, the mistakes. And, what do you do when your live service game starts to decline? You have to have an exit strategy. You can't just have 900 people working on a game, and then when the bottom falls out, what do you do? Like, you have to have kind of a plan and a way of dealing with that. Even very successful live service games have to consider what they're going to do when things start to slow down, okay? So that's where I would start. With the restructure, lean on the data, lean on the institutional knowledge, lean on what they know. But after that, I think you really have to ask the question, well, what if people at their company don't want to work on it? I would give those people the opportunity to sort of move operationally within Sony studios. There are plenty of studios that could work, that could use the help from people that have worked on a game like this for so long. Shooting mechanics, gun design, world design, encounter design. But there's also people who might want to go work on Destiny 3. You know, you got people at Guerrilla who might be a little tired of Horizon. You know, that's a lot of Horizon. You know, and maybe they worked on Killzone. Maybe they want to get back into making a shooter. You know, maybe they could use the Decima engine. That could be amazing, right? I do think one of the biggest problems with Destiny has always been the engine. And what about Santa Monica? You know, some of those people there might be tired of working on God of War. We know that's why they left behind Norse mythology. They didn't want to stay there anymore. It gets old, right? Always doing the same thing. Ben's studio was working on a live service game that got canceled, and it was apparently going to be some kind of a shooter. So that's another studio that might have people that say, hey, man, I'd like to work on the next Destiny. That could be really fun. That leaves one question, then when? How would you do this? Like, when would you make this land? Well, I think Destiny 2 is slowly going to decline. I think that's undeniable. There's no official EOL, but I think an official end of life would have to happen at some point. I think you need to leave breathing room. I think you need to let things go dark. And I think you need to aim for next gen. I know that's a long time from now. It seems like forever from now, but it's actually only maybe 3 or 4 years away. And that's plenty of time to do a great dev cycle, tap into some of the new tech. It would need to be cross-gen. You would still need to be landing on, you know, PS5 and Series X and all that, and you would not want to just only be next-gen only. But that's what I would do. I would aim for that era of time. And I think a Destiny 3 trailer with, you know, not much said other than the fact that it's coming would actually be very, very popular. And I think the game could be very, very popular. They could stand on the shoulders of the failings and the successes of the game for the last decade and not make all those same mistakes. Get set up in a new engine. Get set up in an environment where your bandwidth isn't so strained and stretched. You know, study Helldivers 2. How much of the game could run like that and not need so much that is curated and handcrafted. So that way when you do something that is curated and handcrafted, it's a lot better. You're not taking everybody to the very brink of what's possible within the schedule. The conclusion, I think, here is very simple. I think this is Bungie's only shot. I think they're too big. They're too expensive to run. To justify running off of D2's downturn and Marathon, which will likely not even see the light of day. The only way you justify their size and their cost of production is with something big. And I think Destiny 3 is that big. So that's a very sort of, you know, quick show open. And I want to discuss with the live environment. If you're watching this later, leave a comment below. I try to reply to those as best I can. And if you guys are watching right now, man, smash a like. Try to get us to 200 likes. It's crazy to think that trailer, too. That trailer is 10 years old that we were just watching. It came out in August of 2014. It's actually almost 11 years old. That's a long time. That is a really long time. All right, I've got some people to thank. Let me pull these things up here. All right, Joker Quinn, Han shot first and so did you. There he goes. He's going to put YouTube on the board. Twitch cheated, which I fully support this form of cheating. All right, it's not a cheat engine, but it's the ability for Twitch to do subs before we're in the live environment for YouTube. And Mike on the Mic did 3 months over here on Twitch. He said, yo, it's the only place I'll use my Prime. Thank you so much. That's 45 on the day for Twitch. Thank you very much, sir. So YouTube, you're going to have to try to play catch-up today. Twitch already claimed the 200 milestone and the 225 milestone. That's the new rule now. Whoever hits it gets it. Whoever hits the milestone, that's where the gifted members go. Yo, what's good, Keenan? Twitch and cheating. Name a more dynamic duo. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So what do you guys think? Destiny needs a clean start, says Faffer. When I click all DLC on Steam, it's over 500 pounds. That's so off-putting to a new player. Yeah, I mean, somebody was talking about it today. Was it Darkseid? Was it Joker? I think it was him. I watched one of his videos. And it's still weird seeing him after hearing only his voice for so many years. And he basically was speaking to the new player experience. And he said, you know, it's terrible or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it is terrible. And It is. I remember when we did a couple of streams with Madam, and we had Madam play Destiny. We had Madam play Destiny 1, and I was like, man, this is terrible. Like, it's just, it's overwhelming. Okay. No, I can't do one today. Okay. Destiny 3 is coming out? No, I'm arguing it's time. I think it's time for Bungie to reassess what their future looks like, and I think their future is Destiny 3. I do. I think that's their future. I think they've got to figure out how to do it. I don't know if they go to PlayStation and say, listen, this is the level of funding we would need over the course of the next 4 to 5 years. I think you have to switch engines. I think you have to get rid of the leadership. You know, I don't know if this is something that PlayStation can initiate or not. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. If PlayStation wanted the leadership gone, I think they'd already be gone. I don't think they would let Pete Parsons hang around. The fact that Pete Parsons is still there, to me, communicates they can't get rid of the leadership. They're not in that position yet. Maybe that position arises from the situation with Marathon. I don't know. Can they afford to build a D3? I think in order to build a D3, you would need, again, to go to PlayStation and say this is the funding that would be required. They would need an influx of cash. I think they would need to switch engines as well. And I think PlayStation would be willing to do it. But I think PlayStation's going to want new leadership at the company because I think they're in a terrible state. $5 super chat from Skill Issue. Hot take, but classes need to be removed and Prismatic needs to be their foundation for D3. I don't know enough about Prismatic to comment, okay? But I will say, in general, they would want to expand on some of the stuff that got more praise and leave behind some of the things that were more restrictive. The game desperately needs a reset, says Ashen. We've hit the power ceiling. We're drowning in loot where it's no longer rewarding. The game has technical issues. Yes, we need a D3, and they wasted time. I would totally reset everything for D3, different everything. Oh, I would totally make you leave the solar system. I would make you, you can keep your guardians, but that's it. I think everything would have to change. Time travel, something where you lose your powers get reset, your guns get reset. I know people are going to be like rolling their eyes at that, but you would not be able to be like, yep, here you are with all your subclasses and guns again. It would need to be a complete restart. Sony could provide studio support as well, get them back to the Forsaken level of development. That's why I said you could put the word out to PlayStation Studios. Who wants to work on Destiny 3? You could have people at Bend or Guerrilla or Santa Monica or Sucker Punch or Housemarque. There could be people that are like, you know what? I'd like to take my talents to South Beach. I'd like to go to it and play for a different team right now. It would be fun. You know, they might be a little tired of whatever it is they're currently working on. You know, you do 10 years of God of War or 10 years of Horizon, you might be in the mood for a bit of a change. Bend was working on something. They were working on some kind of a live service game. Gang says, I agree with that comment. Prismatic just needs full coverage of the abilities, not just a small pool. We need to leave solar system, soft reset, and a new engine. With the Braun reference. Hey, I'm from Northern Ohio. You know what I mean? Yo, Vince Kills. Thank you so much for using your Prime over here. I greatly appreciate it. $2.29 on the day. YouTube getting shellacked by Alex and Detonator today. They went a little crazy during the morning, and now YouTube is way behind in the count. Why would Sony spend more money on a company that has already cost them a lot of money? See, I don't get why people keep framing it that way. I think that's very disingenuous and dishonest. They did an acquisition, okay? Do you know what the ROI of the acquisition is? Because I don't. I don't know why people keep speaking as if Sony, quote-unquote, lost money. Like, do you know how much money they have or have not made? You don't. You and others keep speaking as if like, yep, Sony screwed up. Sony got screwed. Sony lost more money. And it's like, how do you know that? Where have you gotten that information from? Where? Bungie started operating in the red. They did layoffs. So prior to that, I'm assuming they weren't in the red. Once they were in the red, they do layoffs, course correct. But Destiny's, I'm assuming, still making money. Destiny Rising is making money, I'm assuming. Where is this information coming from that they have quote-unquote lost money? I did not say lost. I just said spent a lot. You said, why would Sony spend more money on a company that already cost them a lot of money? That phrasing sounds like they've lost money, or like it cost them a lot of money. If you're just talking about the sticker price, again, just because it costs them a lot of money doesn't mean there hasn't been some level of ROI. Again, we don't know. Let's just say they have. I'm not saying they've made money. I'm not saying they've lost money. I'm saying we don't know in either direction. And people keep speaking rather definitively about this as if they know, like, the books. Like, they know how much, PlayStation has lost. And it's like, I don't know. They haven't spent all they amortized it, so they didn't spend it all at once. And we have no idea what their long-term plans are for the company. Why did they absorb like 200 some odd people if they're viewing this as a wash or a fail? They were asked about Bungie. Sony stated that part of the acquisition is that if Bungie underperforms and Sony takes full control, at the moment Bungie are still allowed to do their own thing. Right, like, I don't think PlayStation's viewing this as like oh shucks, their game's not successful. Like, I don't think that's happening at all. I think PlayStation's saying, great, we'll take your people. Like, we'll take your people. They've absorbed like 200 some odd employees. I mean, how many people got laid off? I think 300 to 400 people have been laid off at this point, and about half of those people landed at Sony. Like, they weren't laid off. Like, 300 to 400 people are no longer at Bungie, and about half of those people were absorbed into Sony, and they spun up a new studio, and they grabbed one of the projects. To me, I would say that's the posture of PlayStation towards this situation. I don't think PlayStation is like, oh man, we got screwed. I think they're like, this is great. We'll take all those people. $3 billion in the grand scheme of things. I don't think they're like, oh man, we're in bad shape. They just had their most profitable year, like, what, ever? Didn't they just post some kind of a record earnings report? I don't think they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? Bungie isn't doing a good job. And people keep trying to blame. I had people in my comments about the Marathon situation trying to blame PlayStation for it. I'm like, this has nothing to do with PlayStation. This was Bungie's plan from like 2018. This was not a Jim Ryan initiative project. He didn't say, hey, do this. This is something that Bungie's been working on for a very long time. It is not a PlayStation initiative. Now, Concord was. You can lay Concord at the feet of Herman Hulst and PlayStation. You can do that anytime you want. I think that's fair. But you also have to give PlayStation credit for choosing a good one. They chose Helldivers 2, which was one of their fastest selling games in history. Everybody ignores Helldivers 2 in the discussion about live service. They're like, PlayStation sucks, they don't know what they're doing. And it's like, I don't know if it's that simple. They had to know there were going to be winners and losers in the bunch. Helldivers was a big winner. And conceivably, Helldivers just had a huge bounce back from just an update. They did an update, and they had a huge bounce back, like 100,000 player concurrence on Steam alone. So I don't think it's as simple as like, well, Marathon is a failure, PlayStation is screwed, Bungie's going under. I think these situations are far more complex than that. I don't think this is like a board game where you lose some ground and it's over, you've lost. I think they're going to look at Bungie as a valuable asset. They're not going to look at Bungie as like oh no, Marathon failed, whatever will we do now? 170,000 players are in Helldivers right now. Right, so yes, Concord, monumental failure. Helldivers 2 is the gift that keeps on giving. That's generated so much revenue that Arrowhead is self-publishing their next game. Like, you understand that, right? Like, that's how successful Helldivers 2 has been. That they were published by Sony, and then their next game they're not even going to publish with Sony. That's how much money they've made. I think around July 15th onwards will be interesting if the incentives and the retention payments are based over 3 years. So you think, Paul, middle of this year, once we get past that, we might start seeing people leave? Sony bought Bungie's meat and fat. The meat's the talent and the IPs. The fat is the C-suite. Sony is interested in the meat. If Bungie fails and ultimately Sony gets the best talent and the IP and the C-suite guys take a hike. The losers so far are Concord, Marathon, Fair Games for one success. And you're once again committing the habit of being disingenuine. Would you get banned on YouTube so you run over here to constantly peddle things that aren't true? Marathon is not a PlayStation Live Service initiative. It was something that Bungie was working on before they were even acquired. Fair Games, yeah, I'll grant you that. That one needs to be canceled and needs to be failed. But again, that's how it's supposed to work. If you're going to greenlight a bunch of live service projects to shut Fair Games down before it sees the light of day, that's not a loser. That's a good choice. That's a, no, this isn't going to work. Shut this down. Shut it down. Get this out of here. Like, trying to smuggle in Marathon is dishonest. Fair Games is a question mark. I think it's probably not coming to light, but you can't call it a failure or a loser if internally they've made the right call that, like, no, we're not shipping this. It won't work. Shuhei Yoshida said they cancel games all the time. That's why they have... Concord stands out because it was really abnormal for PlayStation to be publishing such a horrible loser. Their track record's very consistent. Like, their first-party studios deliver very good, very successful, very highly reviewed, award-winning games. And when Concord hit, it was like, what the frick are you guys doing? So one of the reasons they have the track record that they do is because they cancel games all the time. So if Fair Games gets internally canceled, I call that a win. You made the right call. You assessed its potential for success, determined it wasn't, and you shut it down. And listen, in the wake of all this happening, Herman Holst says our live service plans aren't changing. I think it's because they know this is how you make an omelet. You're going to break a bunch of eggs. Like, you're going to have games that don't make it. You're going to have games that don't get enough players. You're going to have games that, make it a year or two, and then that's it. You're going to have games like Helldivers 2 that could probably go for 4. So this all circles back to Destiny 3, because that's what I think PlayStation's going to push for. I think PlayStation's going to step in and say, this is your most valuable asset. We want live service. Live service. This is your most valuable asset. I think right now we should broker a deal on how we're going to fund this project. The economics behind the one hitting is ridiculous that you're okay with 9 fails. What Eugene is saying is the economics of that one big hit are so good that you're okay with all the fails. Why do you think everybody's trying it right now? They're all trying to do it. Everybody's trying to do live service. I think the studios are all in support and backing live service because they know if it hits, it's worth it. If it doesn't hit, no big deal. It's like putting $5 on a roulette table and you might win $1 million. To them, it's like, well, yeah, we might lose, but it's nothing compared to what we could potentially gain. Does Bungie know live service? Of course they know live service. There are so many myths and legends that get spread about this, okay? Number one, Bungie did not cancel Naughty Dog's game. I don't know why you guys keep saying that in my comments. Get your facts straight, okay? That's one myth that keeps being peddled around, that Bungie canceled the Naughty Dog game. No, they didn't. They walked in the room, they told Naughty Dog what it would require for it to be successful, and Naughty Dog said, that would require us to become a live service studio, and we don't want to do that. Shuhei Yoshida just corroborated this recently and said that internally, Naughty Dog said, that would mean we don't get to do games like Intergalactic, and that's not what we want to do. They canceled the plan. Bungie did not cancel the Last of Us game. The other myth that keeps getting spread around is that Bungie doesn't know anything about live service because their 10-year-old franchise is in a downturn and they misfired on Marathon. So they had a live service game go for 10 years. The golden goose that everybody's chasing. Everybody's chasing this golden goose of live service success. They pull it off for 10 years, and you're like, yeah, but recently the content's not been good. People are bored and people are drifting from the game, so they clearly don't know what they're doing. They made it to 10 years. That says something. They made it longer than anybody else. Who are you going to go to? Would be my question. Who's the paragon of live service right now outside of, like, I guess you could say Fortnite? But Fortnite's not something that you can replicate. It's an insane BR that went viral, and they're constantly changing the meta, the map, the weapons. It's like the game has ADHD. Like, their means of maintaining relevancy is insane. The average studio can't replicate that. Who are you going to go to as the paragon for live service? Who? GTA Online is probably number one. I mean, maybe, but Rockstar's not going to share their information. As far as games that have made it, as far as games that have tried to do this, I'm sitting here defending a studio that did me wrong, unjustifiably banned me 5 years ago, and I'm sitting here defending them and saying, these are the guys that could tell you what to do and what not to do. Their failures are just as educational and informational as their successes. Yo, thank you, Vengeance, for 44 months. Just spoke in my head and to say I'm still a member. Lono's a pony and Bungie sucks. Well, you know, you got 2 out of 3 is not bad. And there it is. We're at 230. YouTube, it's your time to shine. It's your time to get some points on the board. A 20 bomb will get us to 250. Whoever hits it gets it. Next milestone's 250, and I owe you 5. Twitch has already stolen 2 today. Like, I just want to dispel that myth. Did they pull it off, though? An ideal live service game keeps its player numbers on level. What you're saying is ridiculous. That's not possible. Bungie's been on slow decline for 10 years. You have fabricated an ideal out of thin air in order to indict them. Your argumentation is about as compelling as a can of soup. Like, that's not compelling at all. Well, I have determined that a successful live service game will never have a decline. With all due respect, that position is idiotic, bro. It's not true. There's nothing true about it. You've just established this ideal out of thin air. What do you mean? Even Marvel Rivals, as insanely popular as it was, had a decline. Helldivers 2, crazy popular. It had a decline. Every live service game in existence has natural decline over time. What are you even talking about? What are you even saying? Like, you just created your own standard to basically determine that every live service game in existence is a failure, because none of them maintain their player bases. They all have steady decline. Fortnite's not at its peaks either. Call of Duty's declining. They're all struggling to keep their player bases. Every single one of them. Cardoc Ren with 52 months says, Double Dippers unite. Thank you, Cardoc Ren. Bumping the line by 1. And then a $5 super chat comes in on YouTube. Don't Sony own shares with Epic? Why doesn't Sony use that relationship to help fix their live service games? What do you mean? Helldivers just doing great. They're going to place a bunch of more. I'm going to tell you right now, PlayStation's going to place a bunch of more live service bets, and a lot of them aren't going to hit. A lot of them aren't going to hit. They're not. They're going to fail. That's just the nature of it. Yeah, how would Epic help them anyway? Why would Epic help basically their competition? Like, everybody that's vying for, like, live service people, like live service interaction, you're all competing with each other. I can't see Epic helping them with that. Yo, guys on YouTube, do me a favor real quick. Hit the like button. We're right on the cusp of 200 likes. Thanks for a strong turnout on both platforms today. Gaming news was dead, so this turnout is super encouraging. We just kind of threw this together because like nothing's going on. I don't often use Twitch, but I can use Twitch and my phone at once, unlike YouTube, so that's a win. Plus, I need to spam this Twitch channel with Diablo love. Oh, for frick's sake, Donnie! They should all look at Warframe. I think that's been on a steady incline since it's released. No. Even Warframe has had decline over the years. Nobody maintains their player bases for forever. That expectation is contrary to what we know about the existence of the world itself. Like, laws of like, what would it be? Would that be law of entropy? Like, you can't. There's no way you can keep your numbers for forever. It's impossible. You're always going to have decline. Franchise fatigue will settle in. People will play other games. They just will. John with 44 months on Twitch. That's a lot of months, John. Thank you so much. Bumps the line to 232 and extends Twitch's lead by a bit more. Honestly, I loved Destiny for 10 years, but I'm done now. It needs something new. My issue with Bungie expansions is that it doesn't change much. Right. So I think you've been misdiagnosing the problem. It's not that they don't know what they're doing. It's that I think every game runs out of railroad track, homie. I think they were just like, there's nothing left for us to do. There's nothing new under the sun. And when you have a game that's out that long, what in the world could they do other than like a full game reset? They've run out of road, brother. That's not an indictment of their ability to do live service. The game's over. It's done. They finished their story. They finished the Dark Light saga. It's over. None of that is an indictment of their ability to speak to live service. I think this is ludicrous. I think the literacy of the gaming world is falling off a cliff if we're going to conclude as a community that, like, yeah, Bungie doesn't know jack squat about live service. They did it for a decade, but because they're now not doing so good, they don't know anything. What? 10 years of experience? And here's the thing. Their worst times in Destiny are probably more helpful than their best times. Do you want to know why? I think it's easier to trace causality when people stop playing or when people get angry. That's easier to draw straight lines of causality. Sometimes when things are going really well, you're like, I don't know. I mean, there was nothing else out. There were a lot of intangible things that led to people playing Destiny 1 in the way that they did. There were a lot of things that wouldn't be able to happen right now. Like, if you launched Destiny 1 right now, it wouldn't survive because there's so many other games to play. It launched in a drought. I mean, a desert of games. There was nothing else to play at the time like Destiny. I think it's easier to use Destiny's worst times to inform you about what not to do with your live service game. Their failings are as valuable as their successes. This idea that, like, they can't speak to live service and they have no right to cancel the Naughty Dog game. Buddy, they gave Naughty Dog a wake-up call. They said, we've been doing this for a long time. You guys have no idea. You can't even fathom what it takes to do this. You can't fathom what it takes to do this. You don't have the bandwidth. And Naughty Dog said, we're not going to give it the bandwidth. We've got other things we want to do. We don't want to become a live service studio. I would be surprised if somebody in that meeting from Bungie said, you don't want to become a live service studio. It's rough. Maintaining Destiny 2 has been really rough. It's been hard on the company. I think it has. People have been extremely bored with seasons for like 4 years in a row. People are only happy for like 1 month after an expansion comes out. This is not a recent issue. Right. But loot. Is that an indictment of Bungie's ability to speak to live service? How valuable would it be for them to speak to the trajectory of boredom? They could write a book on that. Right? When did you first notice people starting to get less enthused, less bored? When did you notice, like, when did it start? Was it your DAU, MAU? Was it your weekly active user numbers? When could you sort of detect trouble? Justin Truman sat at the GDC and said, in February of 2018, we were looking at a player fall-off rate that if it continued, we were done. They were cooked. That information Imagine having them kind of break that down for you and being like, this is when you want your alarm bells going off. When these things happen, if you start to hear phrases like this, if you start to see behavior like this, these are giant red flags that you're headed for trouble. You're going to hit an iceberg. Bungie's ability to speak to these issues is not like eradicated from existence because they've not done the best job the last couple of years. It's like after the final shape, it felt like a long journey home. I'm sitting on the couch now. Okay, there's some yard work to do, but I have no reason to go on another journey right now. That's probably a poor analogy. No, I get what you're saying. Like, it's all the way done now. Everything's just going to feel like a chore that has no, it's not tethered to anything. There's no meaning attached to it anymore. There's no grander thing going on. There's not a grand narrative anymore. Their failure to apply the knowledge doesn't discount the knowledge. The real question, Camille, is could they even apply the knowledge? Right? Sometimes my car is spinning out right now. And you can know how to stop it, but it doesn't matter. If the trajectory of the car is like downhill on ice, you can have the knowledge on how to turn into the spin out. You know to do that, right? Like if your car starts drifting like this, you're supposed to turn into it. Leviathaner with 10 months of subs. Just that knowledge, though, doesn't matter if the trajectory of the car is moving too fast for you to counteract it. If you're going downhill, you're done. Your car is going to be moving at a speed that you will not be able to counteract the momentum. There can be, within a game like this, a momentum of disinterest that all the knowledge in the world isn't going to be able to slow that down. It doesn't matter. It's like it's over. You've lost the bulk of the player's care, concern, and worry. Like they're either fatigued, they finally saw the last part of the story, and they're good. I don't think there was necessarily a playbook that could have fixed this. The other thing you have to remember is, and this is my own personal theory is they crunched the numbers and they said, we can't do this again. We can't do this again. There's no way. We barely made it. Destiny 2 barely made it. There were times where the game almost crashed and burned. I think it was extremely stressful on the company. And I think that's why they said, let's do a bunch of incubation projects. We have got to find other ways to make money. We've got to get other product in the public's hands because we literally cannot do this again. Lona, you're wrong. You're supposed to countersteer and drift like you're in the Fast and Furious movie. Get good, chump. E-Man did it with a VIP 35 months. Keep up the great coverage. I appreciate that so much. I think Pete Parsons' leadership, I think he spread them too thin, but I understand what they were doing. They were like, listen, Destiny 2 is going to run out of gas. What do we do? Do we buckle down and build Destiny 3, or do we find another path? And I think they tried. I think they tried to build another path. Congratulations, you have all the knowledge in the world, yet your lack of application of that knowledge has garnered you irreparable ill will by many, if not most. Again, I don't know if we can claim they didn't apply the knowledge that they had. I think they knew the end was coming, and they said, we have to give ourselves a way out of this. Card Killer says, games are expensive to make. You have to have a big pile of cash to fund the devs and the business activities. If you don't, you need a loan or you get money from elsewhere. Right, I think they were trying to create other revenue streams for themselves. You lose all your fans that built your studio over the last 10 years. If you do Destiny, you do Destiny. No, yeah, I think they made an executive decision. It wasn't burn the ships. It wasn't like we've had to do that over the years, right? I had to nuke an entire channel. I had to nuke a channel with like 48,000 subscribers on it and start over. Like when we started streaming on this channel, we only had 5,000 subscribers. I know what it is to stare down the barrel of this is it. We're going to burn these ships, and we're either going to make it or we're not. We're either going to die on this island or we're going to build a new life. And I think they faced a moment like that. It wasn't as dramatic as like burn the ship, shut down Destiny 2. It was, we have got to build other ships to get away from this one. We've got to. We can't keep doing this. I think that's fundamentally the conclusion that they came to. Yo, Donnie, thank you for using your Prime on me over here on Twitch. Thank you very much, sir. YouTube's just taking a beating today. They're taking a beating in the contest. They bailed on the franchise that carried them for 10 years. They gave up on storytelling and tried to turn the game into a money printer with microtransactions. That's exactly what they tried to do, yes. There's no dressing up what they did. They tried to pivot to variety, yes, Zubair. It's hard to pivot to variety, isn't it, Bungie? You know? It's hard. It's hard to pivot. Hard to pivot to variety. I know firsthand. Hey, you know what, Bungie? I could help you out with that. I think another piece of feedback that scared them, says Lightly, is the continuous pushback of a sizable part of the community wanting a reset or losing their gear. I never understood it. The leveling and the gearing up journey can be a highlight of a new game. See The Division. Yo, what's good, November Hotel? How are you? Honestly, not looking good for Bungie. Such a shame. Such wasted potential. I've enjoyed your content on them. The handful of times I've watched your videos, you especially don't like the GDC speech that old homie gave. I'm sure you're thrilled he got promoted. But my contention is that they have to basically dig down, figure out a way to build D3, and come up with a deal with PlayStation. I think PlayStation would need to fund it. I think you'd need to let people leave that don't want to work on it, because there are going to be people at the company that don't want to do another Destiny. And maybe even put out the call to PlayStation Studios and be like, is there anybody at Guerrilla that would like to work on Destiny 3? You guys have done good gunplay in the past. Is there anybody at Bend that wants to work on Destiny 3? Anybody at Santa Monica? Some of those people might be tired of working on God of War, or, you know, there's people that were working on a live service game at Bend that could help. So that's what I think they need to do. I also think they need a new engine. Figure out, like, can you make Destiny feel like Destiny in the Decima engine? Like, I feel like more studios should be using Decima. I think Decima is a really, really good engine. BMAC, thank you for 6 months over here on Twitch. I appreciate it. I've continued to think that the reason that they leaned away from Destiny is because it was just too hard on the company. I think it was extremely hard on the company to do the upkeep, to deliver and make the content. You know, they went from being owned and protected. They had a big publisher. They had parallel development. They had Vicarious Visions. They had High Moon Studios. They lost all that. And I think it was probably extremely hard on the company, because that level of bandwidth required to maintain the cadence of delivery, they didn't have that bandwidth anymore. Losing Vicarious Visions is a huge blow. They made great content. They made the Menagerie. They made that entire, Season of Opulence? Is that what it was called? Yo, what's good, Mr. Junior Ice? I remember you. I'm telling my friend group for years now that it's time for D3, and they think I'm crazy. Yeah, Mr. Junior Ice, you've been following me since 2015, December. That's a decade this December. I thought if it was hard on them, why didn't they reallocate resources instead of putting them into 5 or so incubation projects? No, you don't understand, Protomator. There was no plan to do a Destiny 3. Do you want to know what Marathon is? I'll tell you what Marathon is. Marathon is a piece of Destiny 3. It is. Anon the 9 had like almost a perfect batting average. And Anon the 9. Yeah, we used to run raids together. I remember. Anon the 9 said they were testing or going to build, or they were planning PvPvE environments for like the public spaces in Destiny 3. I think That's what Marathon was born out of. According to Dr. Lupo, he was at the studio as early as 2018 testing something that ended up being Marathon. I think that's what he was testing. And I think they got to a point where they said, we aren't doing Destiny 3. We don't want to. The company probably, analyzed needed bandwidth, likelihood of success. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were probably a handful of internal, responses from teams that were like, we don't want to do this anymore. It's too much. We've barely kept Destiny 2 alive. Why would we do this again? And so what do? They spin up incubation projects, hoping with at least one of them to capitalize on the Destiny name. Whatever Noseworthy and Luke Smith were working on was going to be Destiny in name. Like, you were going to play as like heroes, third person. It was going to be kind of like a Monhun game. Well, it sounds to me like they were building another sort of ongoing structured game to generate revenue with the Destiny name, but it wasn't going to be Destiny 3. And these other incubation projects, whether it's Gummy Bear or, I think that one was called Payback. There was a handful of others. That's what they were trying to do. I think they literally said, we can either have all of these people working on Destiny 3, or we can have all these people working on other bets. Let's place some smaller bets here. And if any of these things take off, we can slowly drift away from Destiny 2 and start to spin up these other projects. Executives are always about easy money instead of working hard to create the next big thing. Oh, for sure. And I think that was part of the concern. Was that, again, maybe internally they determined also that they didn't think, what was the language they used? That like a Destiny 3 would be like a really big risk. Maybe they were thinking that because they thought demand for the product was just going to go down with time and people wouldn't want a Destiny 3. I don't know. The thing is, extraction games aren't that bad, says November Hotel. I have 500 hours in Hunt Showdown and I love it, but Marathon just has no hook, no pull, no tension. It just feels like a bland game. This has always been my issue with extraction games, and this is why I said that they should cancel Marathon a long time ago before I ever even saw it. I feel the big dilemma of an extraction game that isn't Tarkov or Hunt, because those are smaller studios and smaller games. I think the issue is you're appealing to a niche of a niche. It's like, yeah, there are people that like PvP, and that audience is largely hanging out in Apex, Fortnite, PUBG, Warzone, Valorant, Rainbow Six Siege, just list them all. There is a subset of that audience that likes extraction shooters. So you're taking I think a small slice of an already existing slice. So like, here are all gamers. Let's slice out the ones that like PvP. A lot of them are already engaged in games, so you're already facing that as a significant challenge. They're already engaged in a game. They already have their daily game, okay? Then slice that pie even smaller. Here's the small slice that like extraction shooters. And you're Bungie, and you need, I think, a player base that is far too big to be appealing to such a small slice. Because even within that small slice, people are already engaged. They're already playing Tarkov. They're already playing Hunt. And people are like, well, there's nothing like that on console. And I said, I think the audience on console is going to be even more averse to extraction because it's punishing. And console players are, at some level, synonymous with more casual mentality of like, they're just going to come home from work, hit a button on their controller, and they just want to go pew pew. So they're going to play Apex, Warzone, Fortnite, or something like that. They're not going to play something where their entire evening can be taken from them because they had a bad run or they lost all their stuff. This is why I've argued that Arc Raiders needs PvE. I think you broaden your appeal when you do that. I'm not saying change the fabric of the game. I'm saying you got to broaden your appeal because you're only appealing to a very small slice of the community right now. And you're hoping they'll stop playing the extraction game they're already playing and play yours instead. Yo, a 5-bomb comes in from Zach Johnson, and he gets us to 8. A little bit more respectable for YouTube. You're getting absolutely walloped by Twitch today. 241. We're a 10-bomb away. Our new rule is whoever hits it gets it. If you hit 250 and your Twitch or YouTube, whoever hits it, you guys get the gifted. The more you casualize the extraction genre, the less appealing it is, which is the problem I think Marathon has. Also, Hunt Showdown is on console and pretty popular there. I prefer PC, though. Right. But again, I think that's the dilemma. I think the ceiling that Hunt Showdown is hitting is probably great for them. I think what a game like Marathon for Bungie would need to hit is so much higher than that. So you're either hoping that like everybody stops playing Tarkov and Hunt and comes and plays Marathon, or you get a bunch of people that aren't interested in extraction shooters to start playing them. I don't think either of those things are likely to happen. Let's say Marathon was actually, kind of a banger. Do you think people are all going to stop playing Tarkov and Hunt and all come and play your game? Maybe for a couple weeks. A lot of them will probably go back. That's just kind of the nature of things. Second problem you're going to run into is, are you going to convince non-extraction fans that this is a game that they want to play? I think that's an incredibly difficult thing to do. Delta Force 150,000 daily is also coming to console and is free to play. That's not going to happen. That's why Bungie's effed. This is why from the very beginning, I didn't even need to see gameplay of Marathon. I said, this is a recipe for failure. I had a guy get in my comment section yesterday, and he says, oh, yeah, now that everybody's saying this, you're going to say this. You're really late. I'm like, late, brother? I was the first man to shoot this flare into the sky. I said, this game is going to fail. Early April, I said this. The game wasn't even out yet. I did a show with Kirk last year where I said, cancel Marathon. I said to cancel it. As soon as we had the details, I was like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. You're not going to get play. You're not going to get enough players. Dylan with 5 months in a VIP. Thank you so much, Dylan, for keeping your sub here. Said, good morning, Lono and Marathon. The AMA was so bad. It was bad. It was probably one of the worst streams I've ever watched. I mean, it was rough. It was very rough. Well, no, Bungie's not targeting the hardcore extraction audience. They are targeting the people who are on the fence, which is a larger audience. No, they're not. What you're saying is ridiculous. That's not true at all. Joe Ziegler sat in a video that I included in my content a while ago, and he said, it's an intense game and it's not for everyone. That is not telling people that are on the fence to come and try out Marathon. They not once positioned this game as like a casual fence sitter's paradise. Not at all. They said the opposite of that. They said this isn't for everyone. It's going to be intense. You can lose your stuff. What did Patrick say? He says he's been worried about Marathon for a long time. No, he hasn't. No, that's not true. Paul Tassi has not been concerned about Marathon for a long time because I believe my video about failure, it being a recipe for failure, was on April the 8th. And he screenshotted it and put it on Twitter and said enhance. He knew that the Destiny audience, the sycophants that hate me and love Bungie, he knew they would all come to my video and brigade it when he did that. And it was a negative slant. It was like basically like mocking me for saying that. I said before any of these people said, I said this game is a recipe for failure. You want to walk out now and say you've been worried the whole time? No, you haven't. There's a thing called timestamps. I know timestamps are really inconvenient for that crowd. It's tough. Facts, evidence, emails, timestamps. These are a challenge for them, right? A particular challenge for him. Like, I get it. It's tough to look at like hard data and like, oh, wow, these timelines don't match up. You have not been concerned this entire time. There were plenty of people that kept telling me, this game's got a shot. It's Bungie after all. We haven't seen it yet. We don't even know what the gameplay looks like yet. $5 super chat from Daripa. Bungie is targeting the normies who are the larger audience. They're not going for the hardcore. You can keep saying that, Daripa, but that's not true. Normies don't play extraction shooters. Normies don't hear the game director saying, this is not a game for everyone. That's not going to appeal to a normie. A normie's going to hear that and be like, I don't want to play that. The director just said it's intense and not for everyone. That's not appealing at all. That is not a good sales pitch. The man said that like, what was that, back in like February or March or something? That doesn't appeal to normies. Hey, come play our game. It's tense. It's punishing. You can lose your loot. It's not for everyone. A normie's going to say, I'm good, dude. I'm going to go back to play Fortnite or Apex. I'm going to play Warzone. There's nothing about the game. Okay, let's try a different approach here, Deripa. Let's try a different approach. What do you think about the game, how they marketed, positioned, or designed it? What do you think appeals to normies? What are you seeing that makes you think that? They're going for people on the fence. Look at their mechanics. Loot is shared with the team. Okay, so now we're getting some meat on the bones here to your position. So you think loot shared with the team is make them appealing to normies? I don't think that's a very strong argument. XCal with 35 months. Thank you so much. 243 on the week. Twitch has asserted their dominance on the day. It is 51-9. Yeah, Deripa, I don't think you're making a very compelling argument. I can stack up a whole list of things that are going to be unappealing to like casuals and fence sitters. They're not going to want to play a game where they can lose their loot. They're not going to play a game where PvP is forced on them. They can't opt out. It's always on, right? They're not going to play a game where the director says, yeah, it's intense. It's not for everyone. Like you're signaling, you're pinpointing like one thing. I'm here to tell you the internal, listen to me very carefully on this because you might not know about this. This could be brand new information for you. There were internal reports that for 5 years, developers at the company expressed concern about the game and kept saying it needed PvE and that people, they didn't think people were going to play it. So what you're saying doesn't line up with anything that we actually know. That does not sound like they're trying to build a game that appeals to normies when for 5 years they're like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We're Bungie after all. We'll just ship it the way that it is. You want to go into detail, but you're at work? I mean, fine. When you get a chance, make your argument in another way if you can. Like if you're not too busy. I don't see a single sign anywhere that they were trying to make this game appeal to normies. I don't see a single signal of that. From everything that we've learned, they weren't doing that. They weren't saying we got to go after the normies. By the way, guys on YouTube, we're crushing it today. Smash the like button. Let's get 300 likes. If you have not hit the like button, double check it. Sometimes it doesn't save your like. And guys on Twitch, consider clicking follow if you're listening and you're enjoying yourself. And if you sub to me on Twitch, you will never see an ad. That's an advantage of watching on Twitch. For $5 a month, you sub, and then you'll never see an advertisement when you watch my channel. I can't do that for YouTube, but I try to minimize their placement as much as I can. The fact that they are basically ignoring two of the biggest pieces of feedback, no solo, only queue, and no proximity chat, shows how out of touch they are right now. Ire Wolfman says, liked, doing my part. Guys, look at everybody in chat claiming they liked the video. Come on now, do your part. We only need 20 more. Here's the thing. When we were watching that live stream, and they started talking solo queue, I was like, they are so woefully out of touch. It's like, your game's been in development for 6 years, and you just now kind of woke up to the fact that, like, oh yeah, people might play by themselves. What? When I played Arc Raiders, I'm not an extraction guy. When I played Arc Raiders, when I was by myself, I only saw solos. When I played with Hilly, we only saw duos. And sometimes we would run into like a person by themselves. I was assuming maybe their teammate died or something. I think we only ran into a solo one time when we were playing as a duo. Every other time it was a duo. Duos with duos, solos with solos. And Bungie's like, yeah, we're looking at TTK, and, this again, I think pushes back on the notion that they're targeting normies. If you're targeting normies, then why haven't they set up a solo queue option? That would target normies. That would target the people that just want to boot up and not communicate and not talk and just play. But they're not doing anything to help those people. They're like, oh no, yeah, we're looking at TTK. What the frick does TTK have to do with it? You can fine-tune TTK until your fingernails fall off. It doesn't matter. If I'm going into a situation 3v1, odds of survival are bad. I mean, real bad. Back in the day, I would do solo squads in Fortnite. And the only reason it worked is because I could build and use extremely high damage weaponry to take out people more quickly. And I wasn't doing it with gun skill. I was doing it with basically like creating space with building and beating people that weren't good at building. You can't do that now. You can't do that now. No, I don't even play. I would never play build mode in Fortnite now because like everybody is cranking 90s, and it's not even fun. Even like long-standing players don't want to go into build because it's so crazy. Like the build meta is insane. But at the time, the build meta had not gotten insane yet, so you could go into solo squads and you could build. This was also before the spray meta. Okay, you're not going to go into a game like this and win 3v1s. Look at the way that it's structured. Look at the way that it's structured. There's no way. Try and win a 3v1 in Apex. It's very similar with the layout of the environments, the movement, and the gunplay. It's very similar. They brought solo queue to Trials. How can they not know they need solo queue to Marathon? How is solo queue gone in Trials, though? I always thought that would be a right mess. Analyst, Bungie does about $200 million in revenue, every year? Your reaction to Joe Cross's face at the end of the Marathon AMA had me in stitches, says Banshee. That was quality content right there. I love that it instantly became a meme. It instantly became a meme. Like, as soon as that last frame hit, like, he has been immortalized in the gaming world. Like, we have him as an emote with the T7 or whatever it's called. On Twitch. Solo queue and Trials worked out for the most part. You hit them with those abilities, serpentines and jukes, you'll win more 3v1s. No, it's just the letter O and then 7. Oh, it's broken right now, Rope. I mean, I'm seeing it over here, but that might be cached. It's not working on Twitch right now. The stream did more damage than helping anything. This is why we're talking about Destiny 3. Because in my mind, that's their only course of action here. I don't think there's another path for a studio this size. I don't. I really want you to think about it right now. Let's imagine their future, where it goes and where they're headed. Okay? Think about their current size, their current employee totals, their current operating costs. What do you do with that many people? I don't think you do more incubation projects. I don't. I think PlayStation either absorbs as much as they can, maybe spins up other studios, maybe relocates them to other studios, or you dig in and you fund Destiny 3. If they announced Destiny 3 today, the world would be like, Mara who? Stole what? I love Destiny, but I haven't touched it since beating Final Shape. I think you cut the staff to around 400 people. And then what, Paul? Decima rules and Hideo is its master. I mean, Decima is Gorilla's baby, but sure. Kojima's very good with it. I'll grant him that. Everything we've heard about Death Stranding 2. Over 1,000 sounds like a mess. I think they're below 1,000 now, though. I think they are, Paul. I don't think they're at that level anymore. Yeah. Let's pretend Marathon sold 1 million copies. $40 ain't going to cover the cost of the game. Do a hard reset and then start a next-gen Destiny. I mean, that's what I argued in my show open. I basically argued, set your sights on next-gen, get yourself a new engine, get PlayStation to fund it, and get the frick to work. Get to work. I would negotiate a funding deal with PlayStation that allows you to basically let Destiny 2 coast. I would just stop doing anything for Destiny 2. I would put that dadgum game on fumes. I'd be like, you know what? If they can get the funding, if they can get into a funding deal with PlayStation, you don't need Destiny 2. You don't need that revenue anymore. Get yourself set up to where that game can coast. Because at that point, you're bailing water out of a sinking ship. It's like you're only slowing it down. You're only slowing it down. Like the work they're doing to keep people in Destiny and to keep people spending money in Destiny, you're literally bailing water out of a sinking ship. It's like, listen, just stop. Your efforts are better served elsewhere. I don't see another path for them. The only other path for them would be for PlayStation to break them up and start smaller studios to lower production cost. You'd probably end up leaving. You'd probably end up actually ending up with, I'd think, 400 people out of a job totally, and then take the rest and split them up. I don't know. Even with the Destiny 3, I don't see where the story would go. Most voice actors have left. The quality they had in D1 has all left. Destiny 3 would need to be a complete redo. Of course, it would be a complete redo. You just time travel. Get hit through a time portal and land in another universe. That's all you got to do. They can cheat. It's easy. You've got the Vex. You've got time travel. You've got all kinds of things you can do. All kinds of things you can do. I've always thought they could go back in time and put us in a timeline where we're communicating with the stranger, where she says, cut the engines and lock the doors or whatever. She's like, I don't have time to explain. Why I don't have time to explain? And then she gets a call and she's like, cut the engines and blah, blah, blah. And she disappears. I always thought it would be cool if she was talking to us in that moment. And like, she would then hop to the timeline where we are. We hear the other side of that. Oh, did they finally play the other side of that conversation? I always thought it should be us, but she was talking to Elsie at the time? Wait, I thought she was Elsie. She's a Bray. What's her name? It's not... No, I'm saying what you are saying. She was. There was Elsie and Anna. Yeah, I thought she was Elsie. I'd love to be on the other side of that. That's what I'm saying. Have we ever heard the other side of that conversation? The way you phrased it, that's what I thought you were saying. Oh, we've heard the other side of the conversation. She was talking to Anna when she said, in Destiny 1, she says something to the effect of like, kill the engines or something. I forget exactly what she says. She was talking to Anna. So they've done a flashback to that moment. Oh, is Blades of Fire review embargo dropping? Oh. 77. Let's look at its Open Critic. I thought the demo was amazing. I wonder if does it fall off the rails the further you go or something. Like, does it... Wait, that was a pop-out. Oh, somebody just subscribed. Thank you, Mailman, for subscribing and getting us to 244 on the week. Twitch, way out in front today, 52-9 in the contest. 72 on OpenCritic. I wonder why it's not scoring better. I thought it was awesome. But again, it was the demo. I didn't play all the way to the end. The attempt to offer a 3D Metroidvania experience ends up being compromised by combats positioned in inappropriate places, making the experience frustrating and resulting in a game well below. I did find sometimes positioning was bad, but then I would just position myself better. You just have to move away from the bad areas. And a 5-bomb comes in from Car Doc Ren. Thank you so much. Wait. Car Doc. Oh, he did it. Car Doc stole it. He did a 5 and a single to secure the 250. YouTube is just getting trounced today. We got within 6, and Cardoc Ren smelled blood in the water and took it. Whoever hits it gets it. They just hit another milestone today, and they're getting the gifted members. YouTube, you're getting shown up today. We are now officially, I guess a 50 bomb would change, would put you guys in the lead. You need one of the big boys to come in and save the day today. Jiminy Christmas. You guys are going to have to put out the bat signal. I wonder though, is that the consistent critique? Blades of Fire is pretty decent average game. It looks good graphically, works well. Unfortunately, it can be irritating and even boring at times. Attempts to chase industry trends, hold it back. I have like a here. Blades of Fire is well-made, lengthy action game. It never quite manages to reach lofty heights, let down by generic setting and lackluster art direction. Its main concept, weapon forging, needs more intuitive execution, along with more gameplay adjustments. I'll be interested to see how Blades of Fire does with the audience versus the review outlets. I have a feeling that Blades of Fire is going to perform better with the users. That would be my guess. I'm on vacation. Another big boy will have to pitch in. No worries, Anime Zoe. Played the demo. Wasn't impressed. I liked it. I think it'll age better with users than with the review outlets. We'll see. We'll see if I end up being correct. My impressions of the demo were very strong. So, and again, I think they thought they had something. That's why they pushed the demo out. I think they thought people are going to like this, and that's why they let people play. It's called Blades of Fire. It doesn't actually release for a couple of days. Their embargo is on a Tuesday. Oh, wait, does it release today? I thought it released in 2 days. Yeah, I don't even think it's officially released yet. Yeah, it releases in 2 days. That's mad props to the devs. They released a demo a week early. Their embargo is 2 days early. Respect where respect is due. They were confident in their product. You know, the review outlets are a little bit more tepid to it. It's landing in the mid-70s. That's not terrible, but that's lower than I expected. I expected low 80s. So, what were we talking about? Destiny 3. Oh yeah, we were talking about how they could do Destiny 3. Like, what would Bungie do? Do you strip Bungie down to like a small team and have them work on Destiny 3? Do you break them up and spin up, smaller studios? Where do you guys think it goes? Just forget Destiny 3 for a second. What does Bungie do? The demo on PlayStation has a 3.86? Really? I wonder if it gets irritating the further you go. I had a couple of instances where it was a little awkward, but I would just reposition to get away from the awkwardness. Have they announced Destiny 3? No, I'm arguing that it's time. I don't think they have a choice. It's literally Reforge Gaming. Not surprised you like it. There is a forge, and you forge your weapons, so I am biased, given my name. Sell Destiny to the China devs? No. So quiet here, no background music. Oh, you know, I was doing it at a 3, and I think it's at a 2 today. Yeah, let me bump it by 1. Tell me if that's a little bit better. Forging in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was great. The direction isn't that great, TBH. Maybe that's why they did the demo. They knew the demo would be like a really strong showing, and then maybe the wheels fall off after that or something. Possible. Why haven't you commented on Destiny Rising? I don't have anything to say about Destiny Rising. As far as I could tell, it wasn't Destiny. It wasn't like a loot-based game. It looked like a very, very different approach to the content loop. Now, I've heard that people enjoy it. I've heard that people like it. I don't have any interest in it myself. Once I saw the details, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to play that. How could Bungie focus on D3? They don't have a project to hold them until D3. They would have to procure funding. They would basically go to PlayStation and say, we need funding. We need to be able to stop working on Destiny 2. They need to shelve Marathon, and they need to start working on Destiny 3. And the only way you do that is with funding. You have to basically get the project funded so that they can shift. Edward with 22 months on YouTube. Bit slow news cycle, but once June hits in a couple of weeks, it's going to be nonstop announcements. And it's my birthday today. Guys, it's Edward Hulse's birthday. And he told me that for his birthday, he wants to beat Twitch in the contest. So you guys have got a ways to go. He's going to be very disappointed. You want to disappoint Edward on his birthday? You know, you guys are down by like 48. Back me up on this, Edward. Like, isn't that your dream? You know, that's just all that matters to you today. Let's assume Marathon isn't canceled. When are we getting the delay announcement? Listen, if I'm in charge, I spend the next 2 weeks digging down, negotiating, working out, hammering out a deal with PlayStation so that I can cancel Marathon and show up with something at Summer Game Fest. Teaser. Something. Right? Number one, change the dialogue about your dev, your studio, your game, and probably attract talent. I think there's a lot of people that would want to go and work on Destiny 3. Yo, Arrow Odd with 8 months says, I'm doing my part. And a VIP from Haseo says, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. And that gets us to 253. Every little bit helps. There you go. There you go, YouTube. That's what you want to see. We've got people submitting questions. If you guys are a sub on Twitch or a member on YouTube, you can always use this feature. Spider Senseless says, do you think another live service will hit with Sony, or will they all fail and everyone complain about why those resources didn't go into Helldivers or another single-player project? Well, the thing that people need to remember about PlayStation's live service efforts, this really frustrates me. Like, the ponies always forget this. They are, like, vicious in their criticism of the live service efforts. But what they don't understand is PlayStation is investing more money than they ever have into their single-player games. So the bar on that graph was the biggest it's ever been for single player, and then it was the biggest it's ever been for live service. They're like way, way more investing in both types of projects. Now, you can be upset that Bluepoint was working on something that seemed stupid, but having Bend work on something did not seem like a bad idea. Like, it got shelved, but it didn't seem like a bad idea to have Bend working on a live service game. It didn't. They built this big open world system within, days gone. I'm Kappa with 14 months on Twitch, taking us to 254. Thank you, sir. Extending Twitch's lead a little bit. But, I think people keep forgetting it's not like PlayStation's taking money away from Guerrilla and Santa Monica and Sucker Punch and Housemarque and all these studios. Were like, yeah, we're not giving you money because you're not working on live service. We're giving all the dollary dues to these guys over here that are building live service. Like, you're not getting less stuff because of live service games. Like, that's people are setting up this like very weird false dichotomy where like if PlayStation makes live service games, they're automatically making less single player games, and it's like, no, these were new projects, new ideas, new initiatives, and one of them paid off really big with Helldivers 2. A $10 super chat with Anime Zoe says, that's a hard sell. How can Sony trust Bungie to deliver, especially when they have shown to be grossly incompetent with funds, assets, stealing, bad leadership? Here's what would happen, Anime Zoe. That's an excellent question. If Bungie hunkered down and brokered this deal with PlayStation, you know what PlayStation would say? Yeah, we'll fund your game, but we want seats at the table and we want all the leadership gone. If I'm PlayStation and I come to the table and we're in the position of power, right? That's my mindset. If I'm PlayStation, like, we're in the position of power here. You need our money or you're cooked. That's what I would come to the table and say. Parsons, gone. Leadership on all these teams, gone. I would do an internal assessment survey and I'd get rid of any leadership that keeps coming up with the label of toxic. I'd just get rid of them. Hey, get the frick out of here. You know, take your severance and just get. If you want the company to get funded for Destiny 3, that's what I would do. Restructure everything. Restructure leadership. Make these people frickin' walk, dude. Get them out of there. You think Sony's going to dissolve Bungie? I don't think so. I think the Bungie name's too valuable. Activision Blizzard's in a similar spot, right? It's just too valuable of a name, and they've come back from a really, really bad standing. CD Projekt Red got sued by their own shareholders, and they've come back. I think the Bungie name is worth keeping. They're the makers of Halo. They're the makers of Destiny. Regardless what you think about Destiny right now, in 5 years' time, it'll be remembered as a long-standing live service game. One of the longest. It went the distance. It's not a bum. You know, it's Rocky Balboa. It stood the test of time in the ring, which is really difficult to do. Pork Pie with 2 months of subs. Now listen, y'all. This is a really good setup. All right? That's 255. We are a 20 bomb away from the next milestone. Twitch, this is your time to shine. I'm sorry. No, wait. YouTube. Oh, no. I betrayed YouTube. YouTube, this is your time to shine. We are a 20 bomb away from 275. Whoever hits it gets it. Whoever hits the next milestone. And Twitch is working on a hype train. They got 50 seconds. And it's activated by DJ May. He renewed for 2 months. No, that's 21 months. Sorry, 21 months. Thank you, DJ May. And that's now 61 over here. Gone on, you crazy diamond. That's right. Yeah, well-established names go a long way. Sony will not get rid of the name. Yeah, I don't think you get rid of the name of Bungie. Listen, as bad as they look right now, look at what happened to Activision Blizzard. With Bobby Kotick's face everywhere and all those accusations and a phone call. He threatened to kill somebody? Like, what the heck? They kept Activision Blizzard name. It's too long-standing of a name. Like, one of the first and most monumental console games ever made, Halo. You can't just, oh yeah, we don't want Bungie's name. I also don't think you get rid of Destiny. I think Destiny's too valuable as a piece of property. You know, Destiny Rising could be making really, really good money for Bungie as well as PlayStation. We don't know the kind of revenue that it's generating. It could be doing just fine. Mobile game, after all. They absorb it all. Oh, I could totally see them absorbing Bungie and it becoming a PlayStation studio. They would keep the name, though. They would 100% keep the name. The mobile game's kind of fun, I'll be honest. Listen, Bauer, if you're having fun with it, that would mean that I think there's probably a lot of people having fun with it. I really hope Destiny Rising comes to console at some point. I despise mobile gaming, but the alpha was fun. I mean, they did that with Diablo Immortal. You know, they went back on that. So, let me pull up another question. Again, this is something that you guys can do anytime, and it's not just a set time anymore. We do Q&A all throughout the show. You can have your question featured like this. Khalid, do you think they should use Marathon Engine for D3? Do we know what the engine is? I assumed it was something that they're... With all its problems, the Tiger engine holds the secret sauce of why the game feels good. I would assume that they built it on the Tiger engine. Marathon looks like crap. I mean, you can have opinions on the art style, and the execution is certainly missing some things. But the shooting is what everybody said felt great. That was the one thing people said felt great about being in the game. Like, everything else was like, meh, you know. It's clunky to me. Conflict of interest having Destiny Rising on console unless it's done to allow D3 development. I mean, that's not a bad idea, Gale. You let D2 just kind of like EOL fizzle out, and then you say, hey, we're bringing Destiny Rising to console, you know. I don't know why I don't find this offensive, says Kirk. Maybe because it immediately makes me realize that I'm not a fan, so I just won't buy it. I guess my raw reaction is devoid of anger. Randy fans say, don't sell Borderlands 4 for $80. Randy Pitchford, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Not my call. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starlight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991, when I was just out of high school. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Randy is always the best with his choice of words, but it's not his call. What's interesting to me is the first part of what he says is getting glossed over. He's like, it's not my call. It's up to the publisher, and they're going to villainize him. Like, I just think people are hungry for rage. I think people have developed an appetite for it. It's like, did you listen to what the man said? He's like, it's not my call. If you're a fan, you'll figure it out. Like, but we're gonna read it in the absolute worst light possible and villainize him for something that's not even his call. What's he supposed to say? He can't go against the publisher. So in other words, say no to rage. That's right. He can't go against the publisher. Yeah, it's not my call. You know, stupid publisher. You know, sorry guys. What's he supposed to do? Apologize? It's tone deaf. There's nothing for him to say. What I want you to tell me what he should say that would be approved by the publisher, that would be like, you know, corporate approved. Yeah, we're going to do 80. Publisher wants 80 for the game. What's he supposed to say? Sorry guys. You know, Borderlands CEO apologizes for game price. It's not my call. I hope you find enough value to give us a chance. Oh, come on. That's so flaccid. What? Just don't say anything? I don't know. I would say the best way to approach it would be maybe not say, if you're a real fan, you'll figure it out, but to say like, hey, it's not my call. I hope we built a game that's so good that, you know, you find a way to get it. You know, he's just shooting from the hip on Twitter. I think people just want something to be angry about. It's just, we're all so hungry to seethe about everything. You know what I mean? Haseo says, if they can't use Decima engine for Destiny 3, what other engine do you think they could use if Destiny 3 happens? I mean, Unreal is definitely shaping up and polishing up. Unreal 5 is in a better place than it used to be. But yeah, I would say Can Decima do FPS? I don't know. That's what I said. I said they should look into it. Yeah. Prices are getting outrageous. It's turning into gouging. That's not what the word gouging means. No, it's not gouging. Let's be honest. If you got unbanned from Destiny, you would play the crap out of it. 24-hour streams incoming. Oh, no, I don't think that I would. I don't have any desire to go back to Destiny 2. Yeah, what Killzone was in Decima, so they could do it. Yeah. It 100% could do it. That's why I said, like, you could literally ask. You could literally ask and say, you know, hey, do you guys think you could do Destiny and Decima? See if you can do it. Do a vertical slice. Work with Bungie. See if you guys can't figure it out. The base isn't growing, so to make more, they raise prices. That's gouging. Who said that the base isn't growing, though? Who has communicated that? Other than Phil Spencer, when he explains their publishing strategy, who is saying the base isn't growing? Like, Nintendo has been... analysts are predicting the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to outpace the Switch 1. That doesn't sound like they're not growing. They're doing 80 because they can. They know demand for their product will be absurd, so they're going to charge 80 to see if it works. Like, when they bumped to 70, it was the same thing. Like, the sales of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are insane. You can't argue that, like, well, they bumped it because they're not growing. It's like, well, no, Tears of the Kingdom sold, like, an insane amount. That's not why they're raising the price. The raising of prices is tied into so many other things. I'm talking about overall base between all gaming on consoles. Yeah, but that, again, is just not true. Like, Nintendo isn't raising its price because of what you just said. What you're saying is absurd. Like, so Nintendo's like, yeah, the overall base isn't growing, which they're not saying that. PlayStation's not saying that. The only person that has said that is Phil Spencer. So that right there tells me that that's not even trustworthy, because Phil Spencer says whatever's convenient in the moment to satiate the audience. Yeah, we're going publishing because the base isn't growing, and now everybody parrots that. Nobody else is saying that. PlayStation just posted record revenue, highest ever. Record MAU, highest ever. Highest ever monthly active users they've ever had. How is the base not growing if they're doing that? How is the Switch 2 being speculated to outpace Switch 1 if the base isn't growing? This information is not factual. It's something that one man said to justify their company's brand switch. Like, and what you're saying, like, so Nintendo is going to raise their prices because the console base isn't growing. So they're like, yeah, you know, Xbox and PlayStation aren't growing, so we're going to raise the price to 80. No, they're raising the price to 80 because they can. They know that they can do it and that they'll make more money. That's why they're doing it. It's far more simplistic than any kind of like analyzation of like, well, yeah, the industry's just not growing. We got to start charging 80. They're maximizing profit. That's all they're ever going to be concerned with doing. I missed some super chats. Hang on. True SSJ Havoc makes it rain confetti. First super chat, he said, hey, Lono, what with Nintendo fans going around lying and the Nintendo Switch 2 is basically a PS5? Because they're insane. And I'm Capo! Gifts 10 members to Twitch. And another super chat from True SSJ Havoc. Hey, Lono, what's with Nintendo fans going around saying I don't understand the lies? Oh, you didn't have to do 2 super chats. I have no idea why they said that. I have no idea why they did that. I think maybe they hit their head as a child or something. 71 total on the day for Twitch, and the member count jumps to 266. It's all Twitch today. It is all Twitch today. Poor Edward, no YouTube gifting, no cake left. Yeah, Edward wanted you guys to win for his birthday. YouTube's not even putting up a fight. They're just letting Twitch take it. Both can be true, maximizing and gouging. No, you're using the word gouging inappropriately. That's not what gouging means. No, you're misunderstanding that word. Like when price gouging happens and people get accused of it, okay? It's when they're taking advantage, typically, of like a crisis. Right? Like when they gas gouge, when they price gouge on gas. and there's a crisis and there's a run on gas and they raise the price. Like, gouging is not someone raising their prices in the midst of a moment of inflated cost of production, inflated cost of living. There's tariffs. There's global economic currency fluctuation. The yen's in a depressed state. Different currencies across the globe are all over the place. And you're like, yeah, they're gouging. No. That's not gouging. Did you see that PlayStation predicted a loss of $680 million because of the tariffs? I stand corrected. They're raising the prices needlessly. I got mad respect for somebody that can be like, okay, I'm using the wrong word. That's fair. That's fair. And mad respect. Most people wouldn't do that. They would dig in and just get nasty. I got mad respect for you. You're saying they're raising the prices needlessly. Again, I just falsified that claim. PlayStation just did an earnings call, and they're estimating $680 million of loss because of the tariffs. A price increase isn't needless when companies are staring down this reality. They're just supposed to be like, no, that's fine. Yeah, no, we'll lose almost $700 million. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just take that right on the chin. Okay, you fixed it, WireRobe. Okay, good. Walmart is increasing prices. Are people not paying attention? That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's raising their prices. You are implying they're raising prices because of the tariffs, which is proven untrue. Who proved that untrue? What are you talking about? The 700 million was bonuses? Who reported that? Where are you getting your information? I read the thing. They said they're anticipating 680 million as impacting them and their revenue in losses from tariffs. They're analyzing bringing production of the PlayStation to the U.S. They're analyzing raising the prices. They're looking at everything to shoulder and shield themselves from the loss. What do you mean? Like, the tariffs are having an impact? Like, I'm not going to get into a political discussion with you where, like, well, people are fear mongering and blah, 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 blah. Like, what do you mean? Like, they're having to adjust. Nintendo had to adjust on the fly because they had shifted production of the Nintendo Switch 2 to Vietnam, and then Vietnam got hit with tariffs, and they're like, well, frick. And they delayed pre-orders for Canada and America. You think these companies are just posturing because they don't like your man? Like, that's not what's going on. These are real things. These are real economic impacts. Like, these companies are not like, You're playing Twitter too much. You're believing buffoons that do like armchair analysis like, yeah, they're just doing this because they're greedy. You know what's interesting is PlayStation hasn't raised their prices. They have a perfectly good reason to justify raising their prices. They could have done it right after Xbox. They could have done it right after Xbox, and they're not. Their recent earnings call made it very clear. They're motivated to not raise their prices. They're literally motivated to not do it because they know it would hurt demand of the PlayStation 5 right now. PlayStation 5 is doing very, very well without the mid-gen sale. Usually middle of the gen, they're able to lower the price. They didn't do that, and it's still doing well. I'm not disputing tariffs. I'm saying Nintendo games before tariffs were already announced 80 and 90. You are wrong. Again, you're on a losing streak right now. The tariffs were literally in the air, in the ethos, before the Switch 2 was announced. It's why Nintendo moved production to Vietnam. They were trying to get around them. You're not paying attention. I don't even follow the global situation. This was all part of the conversation when the year started. Here we go. Homie's going to get sworn in, and we're going to get tariffs, and it's going to have a massive impact on the global economy. And Nintendo tried to get around it. They literally delayed their pre-orders because of it. Now, I'm not saying the $80 Mario Kart is because of tariffs. We were speaking generally about prices going up, and I said tariffs are having an impact. They're not the only impact. But these companies are trying to shoulder and shield themselves away from millions of dollars of loss. NetEase dropped on their Destiny Rising trailer if you're interested. They already produced the Switch in Vietnam, but the tariffs hit everyone with reckless abandon. Right, meaning anything coming out of Vietnam was going to get hit and it was going to mess with their pricing structure. Here's the reality. Let's just say they think that you're right and they just shoulder the loss. Do you know what's going to end up happening? They got to get that money from somewhere. They can't just just sit by and be like, "No, it's fine. We'll be derelict in our fiduciary duty and we'll let share value drop, we'll let profit margins drop. That's all fine." They could get sued by their shareholders. So they're going to find a way to block that from happening, which is probably a lot of the times result in layoffs, canceling projects, shrinking operation cost, shrinking spend. Or you can increase prices. You can say, well, if we raise prices, we'll protect ourselves from some of these losses, and we can kind of like just keep on sailing. That's what everyone said was going to happen. Companies are not going to eat the price increase. That's exactly right. I'm not disputing tariffs. I'm talking about games they announced at 80 and 90, which means if tariffs affect the price of 80 and 90, we'll go higher. This is incorrect. When the Nintendo Switch 2 was announced and the pricing structure was announced, I'm done. No, I'm done. I'm not doing this with you. It's not the topic of today. It's not the topic of conversation. I'm done correcting your falsehood. It's tiring. I'm so tired of dealing with people like you. The facts are the facts. Tariffs were in play and talked about before Nintendo Switch was announced. Nintendo Switch 2 was announced. In light of the tariffs, they had pricing padding included in things. And then in the wake of the tariffs hitting Vietnam, they delayed their pre-orders. You're factually incorrect, and I'm done talking about it with people like you. Yeah, people like you who come in and say things that are factually incorrect, and you make me spin my tires for 20 minutes. I'm not getting one guide by a guy who can't use Google. I'm not your Google. I'm not going to fact check all your idiocy. I'm not doing this with you. I'm not. You can bellyache about pricing all you want, but if you're going to peddle facts that are incorrect, it's just tiring. I'm done with people like you. It's so annoying. What you're saying is objectively incorrect. Nintendo confirmed the tariffs were not priced in when they did the showcase. They were not factored into the price of the console. Okay, he's also playing a shell game with me. He initially was talking about price increases, and I simply said that tariffs were a factor. He's now sneaking in Mario Kart. I never said Mario Kart was more expensive because of tariffs. I said there are global currency fluctuations. There's inflation. There's greater cost of production. These companies are looking at all of those things, and prices are going up. I never once said that Mario Kart is 80 because of tariffs. Now I'm being misrepresented. I never said that. He generically said prices are going up. I said there's a litany of things that are causing that. And now you're like, oh, but when Nintendo announced tariffs weren't a factor. Yes, they were. They were already dealing with the tariffs. That's why they moved production to Vietnam. You can't act like Nintendo was just like, oh yeah, oblivious to tariffs that were coming. I feel you two spoke past each other. Well, yes, because when you're going to invoke the generic topic of price increases and then you want to specifically talk about Mario Kart, it's like, but Mario Kart's not the only $80 game. And they're not doing it specifically because of tariffs. I said tariffs are a factor. There are also all these other factors. That's why I listed the currency fluctuation, the yen being depressed. There's all kind of fluctuations right now with currency value that's causing these companies to evaluate what they should charge for their games. He was calling it gouging. I'm not being disrespectful. You people that come in here and you say things that aren't factually true, I correct it, and then you just repeat it again. I'm tired of it. It's so tiring. It's not even the topic. It's like you want to bellyache about prices, but now you're trying to drill down on Nintendo and get into the minutia of like why Mario Kart is 80. I don't know why it's 80. There's a litany of factors into prices going up. That's it. That's it. I didn't insult you. I said, I'm tired of dealing with people like you. You'll peddle things that aren't factually correct and you just keep doing it. It's like the tariffs were in play when they announced the Switch. It's why, as soon as Vietnam got hit, they delayed pre-orders. My idiocy. Somebody just told you they didn't factor tariffs into the showcase, but idiocy, sure. I never said tariffs were a part of the showcase. I said it was a part of the Switch 2 structure because they moved production to Vietnam. See, people like you don't listen, you don't hear what I'm saying, and you repackage the argument. You can't even keep up. I not once said that tariffs were the cause of the 80. I've said this 4 times now, and people like you are too stupid to hear it. So I've just had to say it again. That's why I tried to bow out of this, because people like you make me spin my tires and make me repeat myself. I was talking about the fact that the Switch was well aware of the tariffs. It's why production got moved to Vietnam. They knew this was going to potentially impact price. I didn't say it was baked into the price. I didn't say that they were raising prices because of tariffs. They were well aware that tariffs were going to play a role. I also said shortly before that prices going up are tied to a litany of things. It's not gouging. It's not like, oh, we're going to greedily gouge. Like PlayStation just said, we're anticipating $680 million of loss from the tariffs. There's also currency fluctuations happening right now. Yen continues to fall. That's not good for Japanese-based companies. Again, not talking about hardware-only games. I don't give a single ounce of a frick how much narrow you want to take this. I'm talking about the bigger picture. I don't care what you're talking about. I'm making a bigger point. You want a bellyache about price increases, and I'm here to tell you it's far more complex than just they're gouging and they're blaming it on tariffs. There's like 18 different things that goes into this. Like when you crunch the numbers and you're like, yeah, we're going to lose $680 million. And you got guys like Nintendo moving production to Vietnam. All these companies were shifting things around in the hopes that they wouldn't get obliterated by this stuff. That's why I wanted to bow out with you. You're making me spin my tires here and repeat myself. It's like, these are all pretty basic observable things. We all knew these things were happening. Like the $80 Mario Kart price point was based on everything we just said. It was based on all of that. Cost of production's going up, cost of ship is going up, inflation, cost of living in the areas where the developers work is going up. Yen continues to fall. Like, all of those things are playing a factor. And yes, tariffs were in the air at the time. There's no way Nintendo wasn't considering that when they were pricing things, which they were. It's why they moved production to Vietnam. They were attempting to get around all of this. That's why I'm like, trying to do this reductionist thing where we're like, yeah, the price goes up because they're gouging and they're greedy. You're not saying anything. You sound like somebody who doesn't even understand the basics of what is happening. You sound like the people who have clipped me and called me a Nintendo shill and a bootlicker and all this other, weird language that they use, because they're too stupid to understand basic economics. Their nose would bleed if they audited a community college course. They couldn't keep up. They'd be like, huh? I don't get it. Greed is the only thing that I know and understand. I just yell. They don't even understand it. It's like basic understanding of these situations would be like, yeah, this stuff's always going to go up. What are you talking about? Yes. There are other ways to admit you're too stupid to understand basic economics than yell about me being a corporate shill. To me, you can do what everybody else does. You buy it or you don't. And that's how the market determines whether or not prices are going to stay, go up, go down, whatever. That's how it happens. That's how it works. So Mario Kart at 80, maybe it doesn't do very well. And maybe they decide that that's going to be their only $80 game this gen. Or maybe it does incredibly well. And they decide, you know what? We'll take our next Zelda game and we'll do it at 80. Because they know they can get away with it. They know they can sell it at that price. That's what every company does. Every company knows. We were at the store the other day shopping for stuff, and my son wanted these cookies. And I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how high the price had gone. I was like, holy mackerel. Well, they probably know they can. They know the number of sales that they get versus the number of sales that they lose. That's the best price that they should be at right now. I didn't scream and cry and talk about gouging and greed. It's just like, well, okay, yeah, prices go up. It stinks. I'm hoping 80 games flop. They won't. Okay. There's an upside to $80 that everybody missed in the bluster and the anger. There's an upside. It creates space for $40, $50, and $60 games to get a lot of attention. Game Informer did an interview with Bowser, and he said the tariffs did not play a factor. I'm dead wrong, though. You are shadowboxing. You are shadowboxing. I did not say tariffs were the reason for Mario Kart being 80. I hate talking to people like you. It is exhausting. You have made me say the same sentence 7 times now. It is so infuriating. I didn't say that. I said it's a factor in prices going up. And Nintendo was clearly aware of the tariffs because they literally prepared for it by having production in Vietnam. You insulted me, and here we are. Oh my gosh. Are you how old? Let me guess. Are you the guy from the other day? No, your account's too old. Homie, you're too soft for the internet. If my vocabulary and my bluster and my passion hurt your feelings, grow the frick up or go hang out somewhere else. You can't get along here if you can't take a little bluster from me. Good golly, you're soft. What did I say? Idiocy? Yes, this is an exercise in idiocy. You not listening and making me constantly repeat myself. Again with the insults? Yeah, I want you to feel that deep in your soul. You're soft. You're in a YouTube chat about video games where I don't swear, I keep it safe for work, and you're that easily ruffled? Oh, he said idiocy. You're soft, bro. You are soft like white Wonder Bread. This is the internet. What do you do? Do you go on Twitter and wet yourself because people use curse words? Jiminy Christmas. That was such a light. That was a glazing blow for me to say that. I usually just listen. I brought up facts, and you talk about idiocy. For somebody who misused the word gouge and had to be corrected on its usage, you want to puff your chest out about bringing facts? What facts did you bring? You said they were raising prices because of gouging, and I'm like, that's not what they're doing. Oh, but now you're bringing facts because now you're going to go grab interviews with Doug Bowser and you're like, oh yeah, they didn't do it because of tariffs. I never said they did it because of tariffs. I said tariffs were part of the larger discussion of prices going up. I only cited Nintendo because Nintendo was doing what everybody else is doing. I also cited PlayStation. PlayStation's attempting to consider moving manufacturing to America because they're like, we're trying to figure this out. We don't want to raise the price. If we have to raise the price, we got to raise the price. But like a Japanese company literally said that they manufacture the PlayStation in multiple countries and they're considering moving production to America. That's a pretty significant thing. Like all I was doing was listing all of the ripple effects of this, whether it's production in Vietnam, moving production of PlayStation to America, prices going up. And you want to drill down on one thing that you misunderstood to act like, well, I was right about this. Listen, if you want to take a victory lap on the fact that like Mario Kart's 80 and Bowser said tariffs weren't playing a factor, fine. You want to believe his corpo speak about it? Sure. It has nothing to do with tariffs. Fine. I didn't say that it was. It wasn't like, yeah, Mario Kart's 80 because of the tariffs. You're just shadowboxing at this point. It's like that wasn't a point that I was making. Which I've had to correct you on that like 6 times now. Like that's the point of that discussion was not drilling down on specific games and specific price points. I was zooming out and trying to give reasons and evidences of like every company is attempting to shoulder and push against this. Even Microsoft did it with raising the prices of their hardware. They're all doing it. I was pushing against the notion that it's like it's greed or it's gouging. Oh, no, I remember what started this. You used the word needless. You said it was needless. And I'm like, what do you mean needless? Like, they're all doing it. Microsoft raised the price on all of their hardware. Sony just talked about shouldering and pushing against it and trying to protect themselves against the loss. And then Nintendo moved production of their Switch 2 to Vietnam. They were all attempting to shoulder this and not be affected by it. Like, I think we just passed in the night, and now you just want to keep going back and retreading it. It's like, listen, man, you didn't understand what I was saying. I talk fast. I wasn't trying to indicate whatever it is you think I was trying to indicate. There's a larger picture going on here. And to act like it's needless and it's just companies doing it for the fun of it or because they want to or gouging is a complete anti-factual approach to the conversation. Yeah, Eugene brought up Walmart raising their prices. That was the trajectory of the conversation. To me, felt like we were just citing instances of evidence of like, yep, everything's going up. It sucks. If you want to specifically talk about Mario Kart being 80, I don't think there's a conversation to be had there. There's not. Because Borderlands just now is going to be 80. I'm going to guarantee you GTA 6, by the time it comes out, it could be 100. But like, why specifically Mario Kart? There's like other games are going to be 80. Like, there's what specifically about that game has your hackles raised? I don't understand. 36 months from Kenneth. Had to come and see what the softness was going on over here. This is like the second time in a week where like I get a little brash with somebody and they suddenly turn into like a hurt feeling 6-year-old and they want to like obsess over the fact that I was disrespectful or insulted them. It's like, man, calm down. Like, holy crap. Borderlands didn't say they were going to be 80. They said it isn't up to them. Oh, I thought today Randy confirmed it would be 80 when he said what he said. I thought he was basically confirming that it was going to be 80. That's what made the headline, because he was like, it's not up to me. If you're a fan, you'll figure it out. My feelings not hurt. You just disrespectful. Okay. Oh no. What a damning report. Hopefully there's no headlines about that today. Cassie was told that Marathon needs to be the top 5 NPD sales for it to be a success. There's not a universe where that would have happened for them, given the genre. Would I insult you or your intelligence? You know what's incredible about how fast I speak? I'm still able to be very careful with my words. And I said, your idiocy. As in your behavior, what you were doing, your argumentation. I didn't say you're an idiot. Now, eventually, I did say, this is an exercise in futility. You're not listening. You're not listening. Like, it's an exercise in like, I don't know what it is. Being willfully stupid or something. I don't know what the point is. A 10 bomb comes in from Siriu, and he's trying to put YouTube on the map. 277, and now 23-71. I don't know if you're the same guy. You've got the same. The cut of your jib is exactly like the guy the other week. It's like back and forth. Lono uses a no word, and now all of a sudden we're still talking about it. Like we're like what we need to have some counseling now. We need some therapy in the room. We need a reconciliation coach to work through the fact that I used a word that you feel like was disrespectful. I mean, get over it. We're still talking about it. You're just like the guy the other day. You lose the argument handedly, and then you fixate on a word that I used. Oh, but you insulted me. Oh, my lands. Why would you say a game needs to be top 5 in sales for the year when you have no idea how much top-selling game will sell? What if the best game sells half as much of the previous year's top seller? I mean, I think that's a good point. Hang on, I owe YouTube 5. YouTube just secured the milestone. I didn't even real. Listen. That's a good point. Maybe they're looking at the current year and they're saying that. I don't know. Maybe they did an analysis of the year and the games and what was coming out and what was what was being successful and what wasn't. And they're like, we need to land roughly in the top 5 in order for us to have made enough money. I don't know. It is weird to be like, no, yeah, we need to be top 5. How could you possibly know that? What if by the time your game comes out, what if there wasn't a Monhun Wilds this year? Why top 5? Maybe it's an approximation. I don't know. Maybe there's a rough estimate of revenue and sales that lands you in the top 5 every year, and that's what's their rough estimate. They're like, we need to approximately, we got to land in that hemisphere, or we're cooked. I don't know. But in the year of 2025, they would still have no chance of getting top 5. That's what I'm saying. Like, you made an extraction shooter. You want to talk about hubris and arrogance. Good Lord. To think that your game was going to get top 5? A $40 PvPvE extraction game? Oh my gosh. Like, what? That maybe top 20 on your name alone? Maybe? Top 5? Golly. A $5 super chat from Goat Gaming. I'm getting upset just watching everyone getting upset. It's upsetting to me that everyone is getting upset, which then got me upset too. Shut up, Goat. You're an idiot. You're a straight fool. I still can't figure out how to delete comments. How do I just delete a comment on Twitch? How do you do it? I don't understand why on the back end dashboard I can't click on a comment and delete it. What am I missing in mod controls? Like, we consistently have comments like this that I have no interest in having in my chat. Pin, copy, reply. Drag to moderate. Oh, delete. There we go. Oh, if I drag it out, I can do delete, and then I can do timeouts. Oh, that's really cool. I had no idea how to frickin' do it. I was like, why can't I just delete a message? Yeah, don't invoke politicians' names here. Come on. There's like 20 comments that need deleting. The chat's moving so fast in the combination chat. I'm probably missing stuff in Twitch that shouldn't be there. Yeah, you guys on Twitch, I shouldn't have to say this. I'm not going to babysit chat, especially when I'm having a heated debate. You can't be in here talking politics, man. Like, that's me having to utter this sentence makes my blood boil. I should never have to say this. It's infuriating. It's like when your kid does something, you're like, you need told to not throw rocks at your sister. Like, what are you doing? Like, I should never need to say this sentence. It doesn't need said. Hang on one second. Embargo of May the... Oh, today. Okay. What is this? Politics are trash. Have you guys heard of this game? Deliver at all costs? It looks like a goofy game. I saw Konami. Game will be available from 22nd of May. I don't know if I've heard of this game, Deliver at All Costs. A thrilling action game where destruction, absurdity, and intrigue collide. It looks like a top-down where you're like delivering packages. Like with a car. Like you deliver absurd things. Like they had a shark on the back of a car. It looks funny. Yeah, it does. It looks kind of like one of those, like a goofy delivery game or something. I may not have the good writing skills, says Collide, but I would never take your rudeness. I just know your anger is toward games. Some people don't know how to disassociate. I've just gotten, like, my patience level for people saying things that are just factually incorrect. I'm fed up with it. You know what I mean? It's like when you've had an entire day and, like, you just constantly have to, like, harp on something, like with your kiddos or something. You just get to the point where you're just fed up and you just blow your stack. Like, that's how I feel with that now. Like, people come in, they just say stuff that isn't true. I'm over it. I'm so tired of having to be your Google. Like, having a discussion's fine. Say what you think, say your opinion, ask my opinion. You start putting things in chat that are factually false. It's just tiring. Not to be like, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. That's like, some days I feel like that's all we're doing. Is batting down things that are just factually empty. And thank you, Joker Quinn, for 5 members over here on YouTube. YouTube trying to get back in the fight here. 28-71. Who won yesterday? Didn't YouTube come surging back and win yesterday? I can't remember. All right, so these guys over here can't listen. So I tell you what, you just take an entire day off. Yep, that's a 24-hour. Maybe it should be in the rules. Just future no politics at all, so we never bring it up. You need that established as a rule on a gaming talk show? Like, outside of, like, Asmongold, I think, like, the average gaming show is just not going to do it. Bowser is factually false? No, I'm not still talking about you. I was speaking in general, and so you're baiting the ban. I know what you're doing. You're baiting the ban. I never once said anything that what Bowser said falsified. I never said that Mario Kart was 80 because of tariffs. So I'm just going to grant your wish. I am. There you go. You've officially baited the ban. I don't want to hear from you anymore. I don't. Guys like you are all the same. You say 5 things that are factually incorrect. You get corrected on all of them. You got corrected on everything you said. You misunderstand what I say about Mario Kart. And then you're so desperate for a win, you're going to cling to, like, well, I found that Bowser quote, and that falsified what I imagined you said. That's just exhausting. It's like, you misunderstood what I was saying, and you're clinging to it as a victory? Yeah, I won that argument because I falsified something you never said. Like, Jiminy Christmas. And I knew. That's why I said, people like you. I can smell it on you. You guys are all the same. You're so desperate for a win. You just factually incorrect statement, batting cage, and then eventually I'll either say something, imply something, misspeak in a way, and you're like, ah, got him, yeah. He said that Mario Kart was 80 because of tariffs. And it's like, oh. And here we are, in grand repetitious fashion. You've now gotten me to talk about it one more time. Congratulations. You earned that ban in spades. A 2-spot from Goat Gaming says take a walk. Echo Doctrine says the topic can get heated and convoluted. Can we blame Bungie for this? I feel like we can. Mario Kart's 80 because Nintendo know they can do it. Yeah, like, specific game price discussions always are going to whittle down to that. That's why I don't think, like, it's not an interesting discussion. It's not an interesting discussion. It's like, yep, 80 for Mario Kart. Yeah, Borderlands 4 is going to be 80. Uh-huh. Yep. GTA 6, probably going to be 80. Might even be 100. It all boils down to, they can. That's it. And a 50 bomb from Pathalon Phoenix. He says, Twitch, if you think you're winning, you're kidding. Holy crap. 78-71. This man just said, you get nothing, Twitch. Holy mackerel. We have ourselves a new mash. Mash has been on vacation, and Pathalon Phoenix said, it's my turn now. Holy mackerel. Well, Twitch, we have ourselves a fight now. They're only 7 ahead. So wait, what did he... Oh, so I owe YouTube 10. I owe YouTube 10. Good golly. Lono usually says take a walk when he bans some, block someone, not my line. Oh, yeah. Goat Gaming is familiar with my content. Yes, I do. I was like, take a walk. I read a headline somewhere that Borderlands 4 will be like D3. Is that something that will be true? Meaning loot grind progression, customization? Oh, I got big time Destiny vibes from the Borderlands recent gameplay outing that they did. I got big time Destiny vibes. I don't know where you're getting Destiny 3. I don't know who's saying that, Vaughn. I would want to know what they mean. Are they deducing things from interviews, trailers? I don't know. I really don't. Borderlands always been a loot grind. No, he said loot grind progression, customization, as in are those things going to be like the loot grind in a Destiny? Right? Like the loot grind in Borderlands was never like the loot grind in Destiny. It was very different. It is a different approach to it. It was more of a quantity game. The random rolls of the different manufacturers is probably going to play a lot more like Destiny. Both Tassie and Destiny have said there's no universe in which they get top 5. What name did you rebrand from? This channel was originally Say No to Rage, and I was a full-time Destiny content creator. And recently, I got my channel back about a month ago. Dan Clancy and I were emailing, and he looked into it, and he welcomed me back to the platform. I think you and somebody else asked about that. I've not tried to hide that. There are people that have tried to claim I've tried to hide who I am. That's idiotic. I've never tried to hide who I am. I knew I recognized your voice. Thank you. People think I cut my hair to hide too. I literally cut my hair when I went by the same moniker. I literally did. I cut my hair. I was still going by the same moniker. I was on YouTube. I did an entire 9-part series called the Say No to Rage story, and the thumbnail literally had me on the thumbnail with this haircut. Like, I never once was like trying to pull a Clark Kent. The Destiny sycophants that hate me for eternity don't understand basic logic. Like, oh, I'm gonna pull a Clark Kent and trick people. I'm gonna cut my hair. Like, should have never been banned in the first place. Well, I mean, it's interesting that when somebody disconnected from it all looked into it, we were reinstated. You know, I think that speaks for itself. The haircut took years off you. Well, so did losing 20 pounds. What's with the glasses then, huh? I always wore glasses. You know, it's not like I'm sitting here with like a Groucho Marx like disguise on. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm not Lono. You know, I didn't come back as Leonard or something. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't me, guys. This is that Lono? Yes, this is that Lono. Uh-huh. Yeah. 4 years and 9 months I was banned from Twitch. And they would never reply to me, ever. I could never get a straight answer. And then I did get answer and communication when I spoke with Dan Clancy. It was very frustrating. It was very frustrating. Upper called you Loney? No, he called me Lano. Yeah, Upper called me Lano. He didn't pronounce my name correctly. You are dyeing your hair? No, I'm not. I know you like to spread propaganda about me, Goat Gaming, but I'm not dyeing my hair. Yo, Nem, thanks for jumping in with a sub over here on Twitch. You're still in it, Twitch. Pathalon Phoenix took away your lead, but you can take it back. You see the gray? Oh, I love the gray. I want more of it. I totally do. I'm getting some in my beard. I'm getting in my hair. I love it. I want those streaks, dude. Yeah, I would never dye my hair. My dad started getting white in his beard, and he was like coloring it out. This is a long time ago. And me and my brother scolded him. We're like, what are you doing? It looks great. Let that grow in. He's got a great, white grandpa beard now. I was trying to keep the gray out. No, I'm not. I would never do that. I had a gray hair fall out the other day, and I was so sad. I had a really good one right up here in the front. Had like a streak going in my hair. I fell out. I was so sad. I'm not coloring my hair. I want it. Like I'm getting it over here. See? I want it. My daughter's hoping it ends up growing in like Doctor Strange. He's like one of her favorite characters. Yo, Alley Cat, thanks for 5 months and a member plus. Appreciate it. YouTube maintaining their lead. Housemarque is fully focused on single-player premium games. No plans for live service titles, says Shinobi. Yeah, that's good news. They're too small to be doing multiple projects like that. That wouldn't work. Would you ever consider playing Destiny again? You're the very first Destiny streamer I watched. I mean, I appreciate that. You have a salsa bowl next to your name, so you've cheered, like you started following me. That's unfortunate. You started following me on July. Well, you had a lot of messages before that. Oh, I bet you that you unfollowed me. You followed me the day I got banned, July 2nd, 2020. It was the day that I went live on YouTube and defended myself. I'm sorry, I went live on Twitch and defended myself. They left me alone for 2 weeks. They didn't do anything. It was the day that I defended myself. That's what got me banned. You were a Sherpa in my Discord in Wrath? Oh, no way. That was a great time. Tonight at 9, we take a look at Lono's roots. Is he dyeing his hair? Investigation at 9. We'll find out. Yes, right. That's right. Anyone excited for the new DLC for Division 2 next week? Yo, Vaughn, thank you for gifting a sub over here on Twitch to Phoenix. You can get back in the Discord. We still got people to play. Okay, let me answer your question, though. Your question was like, would I ever go back to Destiny? I have no interest in Destiny 2. I was randomly banned in February of 2021. They never told me why. They never spoke to it. They let someone else take the blame. They like publicly let Sarah Daniels take the blame. Everybody thought it was her. As far as I could tell, and as far as the research that people did, like speaking to former employees, it wasn't her. They let her take the blame. I always thought that was on par though for Bungie, just pure cowardice. Never explained it. Somebody Steam banned me. It was like, it wasn't even like, I'm not actually banned from Destiny. I got Steam banned for like 500 years. Like they went in and just put 9s. Like they just went in and put 9s. Like legitimately, I'm not banned from Destiny. I am Steam banned. So if I go to try to like disable cross save, I have like a 500-year Steam ban. Like it was like it was a dev ban on Steam. So it wasn't like through the actual like Bungie.net appeals process. I go to that process and it treats me like I'm not banned. It's really bizarre. So, yo, what's good, Javier? Javier about to drop a bomb? I don't know. He's spamming emotes. You gotta watch out for Javier Cotto. He used to be a madman in here. I used to yell his name like a soccer announcer. Too late for Destiny 3? I mean, I've argued today that they should do it. They should procure a deal with PlayStation, get funding, and stop working on Destiny 2. That's what they should be doing. Were you given official reason from getting banned from Twitch? No, the reason changed like 3 times. It was never the same reason. The most recent reason, whenever they went in and finally reversed it or whatever, it said unwanted objectification. I was like, I've never done that. That's not a thing. Like, they have that rule in place. So, like, if you, like, guys have done this, right? They pull up other people's streams, make fun of, mock, or say nasty things about them. Well, you can get banned for that. That was the most recent reason. I was like, what the frick? I was like, I've never done that? Like, what does that even mean? I never would have done that and didn't. It was bizarre. Like, the reason kept changing. It was really, really weird. So, Like right now, I know there's always been a bit of controversy, and I've been critical myself of inconsistency in bans and suspensions on the platform. And right now, a lot of the times it happens, it seems completely warranted. I've seen people bopped for stuff that they should be bopped for. And then you're given a timestamp. You're shown, here's when you did it. Like, here's the stream, here's the day, here's the timestamp of when you did this thing, when you broke the rules. That, again, was just never provided to me. I could never get clear communication. They wouldn't talk to me. It was extremely frustrating. So that's why I was extremely grateful that, you know, Clancy's incredibly busy. Like, the fact that he took the time to email back and forth and to look into it, that's likely I'm going to look back and it'll be life-changing for me, for my family, for my kiddos. Like, because it was life-changing to lose it. I mean, so. I love the UK crowd. It's crazy how many friends I've made over there the past 10 years. Yeah, a lot of you guys probably still play. I mean, there's still people that play in our Discord. Mm-hmm. Has any of the old Destiny crowd been in contact now that you're back on Twitch? No. I mean, the problem is, so, like, as soon as you leave the Destiny community, no one believes it. No one believes any of that crap about me. They all see it as bogus, phony. They know it's not true because they weren't attached to it. So they do the basic analysis of the facts, and they're like, this is BS. This guy got absolutely, railroaded here. The people in the Destiny community, like viewers, streamers, they're still convinced that I'm like a monster or something. Like, I poked my head, typed one comment in a cross stream, and somebody immediately said something like, isn't this, some abuser or something? Get this guy out of here. And it was just like, huh? After all this time, like, none of you have taken the time. That's the dilemma with that kind of a thing. Once that becomes headcanon for somebody, that's it. That's what you are to them. You can't undo it. Facts don't matter. Evidence doesn't matter. Soon as somebody gets that idea planted in their head, it's really, really hard for them to let go of that headcanon that, like, Lono is a monster, So I don't care to fight that battle. I really, really don't. I don't care to fight that battle. It's not worth it. I was fighting that battle for years, trying to show people, trying to point people to just the litany of things that were said that weren't true, things that disappeared, things that got deleted. They don't care. They just look the other way. They just look the other way. You can literally show them. You can be like, all this stuff was made up. It was a lie. It was deleted. And they're like, it doesn't matter. They will literally say, like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, they just don't care. Imagine that happening in, like, a court case, like a guy's on trial for something, and, like, there's 10 things, and 9 of them get falsified and just, like, shoved off the table, and then, like, the 10th thing is, like, even then misrepresented, exaggerated. Well, you'd throw the case out. You'd let him walk. You'd be like, get out of here. This case, there's no case here. In the court of public opinion, headcanon becomes truth, and you literally can't get people to change their mind. It's, like, impossible. I had a hard time believing things when nothing legal happens, or, like, the one legal thing that did happen, like, a legal team looked into it. I still have that recorded conversation. They actually looked into it, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing to do here. There's no actionable items. There's nothing. There was nothing to it. They didn't get what they wanted, and so they took other measures. Yeah, just in time. That's going to continue. That theme, the theme of 2025, some of these people better duck and cover. Because the karma dragon is breathing fire. Like, and I'm just sitting here going, cool, man. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here hanging out with y'all, talking video games. Like, Insomniac Black was 6 months. Just to add this in, though, we hold massive respect for Astacross, one if not only the Destiny streamer that is a shred of integrity. All the homies love Cross. Yeah, I wasn't saying anything about him. I love him. Like, I have mad respect for him to the point that, like, I wouldn't even go over there and like use my sub or, you know, I just wrote a comment. I wasn't trying to like do anything. But yeah, he's the only one out of the bunch I have any respect for. He's the only one that did the right thing. You know, he actually has integrity and character. And it thrilled me that he was the one that basically got to take over the directory. It couldn't have happened to a better person. Right, no, Insomniac Black. It was good to clarify because I mentioned his stream. Like, I have no beef with him at all. None. I have nothing but respect for him. Destiny 3 trailer? No, there's no trailer. No. I think it's time for them. That's what they need to do. I think they need to switch all efforts to Destiny 3. Cancel Marathon. Do it. Cancel Marathon and broker a deal with PlayStation. Broker a deal with PlayStation and get it funded. Stop working on Destiny 2. Like, let Destiny 2 go on fumes. You know? You cracked me up. I spilled my drink when you said because they're mad at your man. When did I say that? What were we talking about? Mad at your man? Benny says, Cross said once they did that man dirty on a stream talking about you. No, he didn't. He didn't say that publicly. Are you serious? I feel like that would have came to my doorstep. Somebody would have clipped that and sent that to me. That seems insane. He deleted his video. Once he saw the other side of the story, he did the right thing. He took his video down, which is what everybody else should have done. And then the press should have got involved and covered both sides, and they didn't. They didn't. They just let me lie in a rubble of torch, just death. It's like, we're not going to cover his side. It's like, what? Like, he was the only one that did the right thing. The rest of them left their videos up, made a bunch of money on falsehood, bunch of articles, ad revenue, making money off of falsehood. That's journalistic malpractice when you don't cover both sides. That's ridiculous. To this day, I cannot believe there's no respect deserved for people that did that. That's absolutely abhorrent. To be like, here's all this stuff. Well, he said all this, and a bunch of it's not even true. Yeah, we're not talking about that. What the frick? Like, that is journalistic malpractice. Sounds like an opportunity for a collab. I would never ask him to do that to his brand. His audience would be furious. There's enough in his audience that probably think I'm the worst thing ever. So you were there, Benny, when he said it. You could tell he was going to say something else. He was reading chat, and then he says, sometimes, I don't know, man. I would never, ever ask him to do that. He would have to initiate that. I would not ask him to do that, because he would basically have to go on record and be like, I believe him. Like, and that's, you know what I mean? Saying they did me dirty could still be like, he could still be like, yeah, but he was kind of an idiot. Like, he could still, you know, he could have some nuance in being like, yeah, they did that man dirty. But again, I would never ask that man to do that. That's something that he would have to choose to do on his own, because it would bring a lot of negativity. It would. I remember when people wanted me to go on the Iron Lords podcast, and I DM'd the one guy and I said, I don't expect you to do that. It'd bring so much negativity to your doorstep, and I don't expect you to do that. I don't expect you to shoulder my baggage of hate that, you know, can come in my wake. Yo, Retz comes in with the prime. That's 4 months. You the man. I tell you what, though. If some pretty big people started doing that, it would really be amazing. It would really change a lot of minds. I do. I think if some people said, you know what, I'm tired of not saying this. I'm going to say this. Like, you know. Because there was There was a time where some people were doing that. There were some YouTubers that were doing that, but they, they're not in that community, so it's not going to have an impact on that headcanon. So, I'm not going to ask people to do it. I'm not on a revenge kick. I'm not on I'm not on a vindication tour. If people want to do that kind of a thing, they want to reach out, they want to let folks know, I'd be 100% okay with that, But I'm never going to go to anybody and be like, hey, could you say this? Could we do something together? No, that's not fair for me to even put them in that position, to ask for that. I would never do that. That's asking far too much of somebody, Hang on. Real King Salty says, hang on. Oh, King Salty, good to see you. Culturally, that blip of time was popular to just blanket blame and accuse anyone for anything and just believe no matter what. Yeah, it definitely, the culture has shifted on it. This is why I've continued to say, if folks came out and apologized, admitted what they did, there'd be no legal recourse. I'm not going after anybody. That I would not want to do that. I think the culture's different now. I think people would be far more receptive to the truth coming out and reconciliation and being like, hey, this guy got a raw deal. I think the culture would be very receptive to it. I think the people that are going to be like, no, I don't believe a minute of it, he's still a monster, they would still be there, but I think their voices would be a lot more muted in the conversation because the general public would be like, what the frick are we talking about? This was 5 years ago and most of it wasn't even true. Why would we even hold this guy to this eternal label? I do. I think the culture is very much receptive to second chances, redemption, and setting the record straight. I think the culture is more receptive to that now. I don't think they would attack people and villainize them. I can't believe you lied. Yeah, Ruku, yeah, the masses were definitely primed to believe pretty much anything. Yo, M. DuBois, thank you so much for your member light. If you guys are a member light on YouTube, I can't count it in the total because that could be a gifted. I can't tell the difference. If you are paying attention. If you are paying for your own sub, you want to be at a member plus so that it counts. Happy you're back on Twitch. Thank you, Angel. Disagree with you on that. I think the middle point between then and now, people would have been more willing to forgive them. But if somebody came out now and admitted it, they would be railed. No, they wouldn't. No, because I would do everything I can to prevent that. I'd be like, nope, don't do that. This is exactly the time it's supposed to happen, if that's when it's supposed to happen. And I would do my best to shield them and be like, don't you dare do that. Don't do the same thing, right? Don't be the monster from 5 years ago. Dubois? You're too close to Louisiana for this? I went to school with a guy, and that was his last name, and it was pronounced Dubois. Or something like that. It was pronounced something like that. It wasn't Dubois. I literally went to school with a guy, and that was how you pronounce it. His name was Barry, I think. Barry Dubois. It was spelled the same way and everything. Oh, yeah. People being stuck at home and feeling powerless and anger. For sure. It was a fever pitch, man. It was a perfect storm. It really, really was. I wasn't a big fan of yours before the drama. After it all went down, having went through something similar, I supported you 100%. Watching all your so-called friends turn on you, I unsubbed from so many. I respect that, I respect that. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I'll upgrade it. I was a heavy watcher back in the Destiny days, the Mike Doobie. I remember that name. I do. I remember if somebody puts a name in chat or shows back up, I immediately remember the name. I've got really good recall of names from back then. You were taking over D2. Yeah, we've talked about the timeline a number of times, Simon. And 2 weeks before it all went down, I broke every record on my channel. And then exactly 2 weeks later it happened. And then one of them said, we were talking about it for 2 weeks. That was literally the beginning of it. The reason they all started talking about it for 2 weeks was because of that day. I tweeted and said, we just broke every record on my channel. Sub record, viewership record. It was the soccer field day. It was the soccer field day. They did the almighty thing, I think, didn't they? It was something like that, and we all were hanging out at the soccer field. It was the biggest day I'd ever had on the platform, and I tweeted about it, and they were like, "We got to take him down. We're tired of this." The Almighty was a destructive bee. The Almighty was a destructive bee, dude. It took out the tower, and it took out my career. It's so true. It's so true. And you know what's funny? Like, part of me asked for it. Like, I was asking for it. I knew these people were spreading stories about me. I knew people hated me. I knew people thought these things about me. And buddy, I thought I loved strutting how well I was doing. I was really cocky. You know what I mean? I eat my ego. Yo, 3 singles just came in from Stone Spire. I know what Stone Spire's doing. He sets it up. We are a 10 bomb away from the next milestone. Oh no. I don't know, dude. A 10 bomb for Twitch would put them in the lead at 84, and they'd steal it. It's anybody's game. Whoever hits it gets it. Rets, did I thank you for 4 months on Twitch? I can't remember if I did or not. And M. Du Bois or M. Dubois. M. Dubois upgrades to a member plus. And that counts as 2. Thank you so much. 85. I can't remember. Did I thank them? Or I'm going to add them to the total. I don't think I added the 75 and then the 143 for Rets. Rets SG17. Thank you so much. Sure did, thanks. Oh, did I just double dip? Did I just count you twice? Funny how the leader of it all started doing R-rated content. No comment. Ray B, you say you have stories? A lot of people have stories. I don't know why they've never gone public with them. It's bewildering. It's just bewildering. It has bothered me for a very long time that there are people with. Do you remember when what was the comedian's name that basically was the reason that everything came out on Cosby? What was his name? He's got the animated GIF and he says whack. What's his name? Dadgummit. Hannibal Buress? Is that it? Is that his name? Is it Hannibal Buress? Right, got it. He was talking to Seth Rogen. And Rogan was like, "Oh man," like sort of fawning over the fact that, "Oh, there's Cosby, you know, oh my gosh." And Hannibal's like, "He's a fill in the blank." And Seth's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, it is known." It was like an open secret, and nobody would say anything. There's a lot of open secrets that for years I've been like, why won't anybody say anything? That's why I've always said, time and truth are undefeated. Time and truth are undefeated. Time and truth are undefeated. Like, just wait. Just wait. Just wait. No. People are making money. Yeah, exactly, Dave. Like, it's crazy how many people are like quiet about those types of things for years. It's just insane to me. You know what I mean? It's just insane. Like, I don't know. I was never going to be the one to do it. I'm just not doing that. I'm not interested in that. Soldier on Music with 35 months. Missed the convo. Would love to see D3, hopefully with the old guard gone. Yes, get rid of them. Soldier, if you're paying for that membership, by the way, it doesn't count in the total. You got to upgrade to Member Plus like Dubois did. So, I do have some questions that I've got to go through. Maybe afraid of the blowback, especially if the accused are very well known and liked. Yo, DJ May does a 5-bomb for Twitch. We got a fight now. We have an actual fight. This is a back and forth. You guys have been hemming and hawing. Now you guys are right on each other's heels. Whoever hits it gets it. Whoever makes this hit 350 gets the 5-bomb from me. Thank you so much, DJ May 88, for doing that, for gifting those subs. Yeah, let me pull up some of the questions. Let's go through these very quickly. If they can't use Decima Engine for Destiny 3, what other engine? Yeah, Unreal. I think I answered that. And a single comes in from Stonespire, and a renewal comes in from Ward Huff, and a Strike 1 renewal comes in, and then a 5-bomb comes in from Broken Earth. YouTube says, you don't stand a chance, Twitch. YouTube takes it back. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 coming from YouTube that I have to add here. There it is. Man. 93, 94. Another one coming in from Skiffy Skiffles with a VIP renewal. And then D Dizzle bumps it again and gets it to 95. YouTube's just kind of laying down the law right now. They're just laying down the law. They're saying we're taking the lead today. Pathlon Phoenix, put the gas in the tank. I really just wish the parasocial side of content creation would be healthier. I feel like our community, I do feel like that element is extremely healthy because I just sit and I don't put on airs at all, and that gets me into trouble, right? Like, if I get irritated, if I get frustrated, if I get, if I rip into somebody, I just me. That's just me out on Main Street. I don't try to like put on some persona. Yeah, I've been on Twitch for about a month. Yeah, Dan Clancy was the one who I was corresponding with, and he took care of it. Let's continue to look at these questions too. I keep seeing Enshrouded. They seem to have a good handle on early access, continually releasing content. Could Destiny 3 start small and expand gradually to allow Bungie to get Destiny 3 out sooner? I am fully in support of early access. I think the danger with something like Destiny is it's an established franchise. So it would be a little bit harder for people to be receptive to that. I think people are more receptive, they were receptive to Baldur's Gate 3, so maybe I'm arguing with myself here and talking myself out of my position. I mean, you could do it, but you'd really have to do it right. I think early access is a great way for live service games to avoid pitfalls, mistakes, and bad ideas, and get really good ideas and get good feedback in the earliest stages. Because I've talked about this before. I was reading a book and a guy was talking about how, the trajectory that you set early on can lead to going way off course, right? And he would deliver medical supplies with this guy, and they were flying a little prop plane in Africa. And he said he would let him fly sometimes, and if they were off by just half a degree on their heading, the pilot would get really, really stern with him. He's like, you could put us into the wrong airspace. Because if you're off by half a degree now, you end up all the way over here. And I've always said with live service games, you can be off on a loot system, an incentivization, a skill, or whatever. You can be off by half a degree. You build the whole game around that, and you end up over here. And the community would prefer to be here. Well, you can adjust those trajectories easier in those early stages. The Diablo 4 could have done early access. Don't see why Destiny couldn't. Yeah, initially I was kind of like, it's an established franchise, but Baldur's Gate 3 did it. I firmly believe that Diablo 4 would have been in a better state if they did a year of early access, for sure. Or 2 years, I don't know. You just avoid a lot of those bad trajectories. Donnie says, did somebody say Diablo? Yeah, and how bad it is, Donnie. Go back to being quiet again, Donnie. What are your thoughts, says Zero Connection, on Shuhei Yoshida said gamers shouldn't complain about price increases of games? I would need to see exactly what he said in context. I think people headline hunt, and a lot of the times, like, Shuhei hasn't said anything that, like, bothers me. You know, I appreciated him corroborating the fact that, Naughty Dog chose to not do The Last of Us factions. They chose not to do it. And the reason they chose not to do it is because they didn't want to become a live service studio. Like, people are like, Bungie canceled factions. No, they didn't. Nope. Bungie walked in the room and said, this is what you would need to do to be successful in this environment. And Naughty Dog said, nope, we're not going to do that. We don't want to become a live service studio. And Shuhei Yoshida recently corroborated that and said that they wanted to do games like Intergalactic, so they decided to not go forward with the game. They would not have come to that conclusion without Bungie, which means Bungie saved them from wasting a lot of time and effort. This goes right back to the headcanon that we're talking about. They just refuse to believe. Right, people are convinced that Bungie walked in the room and canceled factions. And it's like, they didn't. They didn't. They walked in the room and said, if you want this to work, you're going to need to have a whole lot more bandwidth. This is the amount of bandwidth that it takes. Like, this is what we've done. This is how we did it. This is how hard it was for us to get Destiny 2 working all these years. And Naughty Dog said, there's no frickin' way we're doing that. It would completely change the fabric of their studio. Bungie said, you're going to have to steal art. You'll need to remove content that the players buy, and you'll need to be evil. Naughty Dog said, we can't do that. That goes against our core principles. Borderlands 4 studio head said, you'll find a way if you're a fan. Not a great way. Listen, I agree. It's frustrating because, like, Randy Pitchford's not great at this part of the job. He steps in it. And he was like, listen, it's not up to us. And I think, believing the best about what he was trying to say, it's not up to us. Listen, man, if you're a fan, you'll find a way to get this. Like, almost like, we're on the same team, man. Like, this isn't up to me. Like, that's how I took it. That's how I took what he said. I don't think he's acting like, don't bellyache. If you're a fan, you'll figure it out. You'll buy it. I think he's saying, listen, man, it's not up to me. If you're a fan, you'll figure it out. Like, we're all in this together. Like, he could have worded it a lot more like PR approved. But listen, in an era of time where we constantly get this sanitized, neutered corpo speak that doesn't say anything, I almost would prefer some raw human transparency. Yeah, if you're a fan, you'll figure it out. You're going to want to play this dadgum thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, be cocky. Don't be PR friendly. Just say it. Say it with your chest. Say it. Yeah, you'll figure it out. If you're a fan, we made something that's so amazing, you're going to figure out how to buy this game. $10 isn't going to be a barrier. I'd rather him say that than some stupid PR nonsense that, like, we know is nothing. He's just saying it to, like, oh, you be safe. It's not up to me, guys, but we really feel we built a great product, and hopefully that the product justifies you wanting to feel like the value proposition is strong enough for the $80. Who cares? Like, anybody can say some sanitized, email-approved corpo speak. Like, I'd rather him just be raw and honest. Like, I don't know. His entire demeanor about Borderlands 4 has given me a lot of confidence in what they're delivering. He's talked about the game in a way where I'm like, I think they built something really good here. I think he's overestimating the hype levels for Borderlands 4 and the goodwill towards Gearbox. I definitely don't think they're where they once were, but I think the gameplay showcase convinced people that they built something really good. I saw nothing but Borderlands is back, we're back. From the reactions to that show, that thing they recently did, I saw nothing but excitement. Like, we're back, dude. This sounds great. I just hope it runs well. Yeah, my only concern is 60 FPS because the debut looked a little weird, but that could have been, again, sometimes debuts are running at 30 for whatever reason. Then they're slow panning crap that they always do. I hate that. Another question here from Willie Kale. If Sony sheds the Bungie leadership, what happens if the desire to make Destiny 3 goes away with that group? I would think that what they would do is they would try to find people that do want to build it. Like I said in the show open, you probably missed this, so I don't mind repeating this. I said this in the show open, like, ask your other studios who wants to work on Destiny 3. There could be people right now at Guerrilla Games that are tired of working on Horizon, or guys at Ben's studio that are like, hey, I was kind of enjoying thinking about live service systems for the game that we got, they got canceled. You might have guys at Santa Monica that want to come make great story, and they're kind of tired of God of War. I mean, that's what I would do. I would say, hey, anybody at Bungie want to go work at one of our other studios? Anybody at one of the other studios want to come work on Destiny 3? That's what I would do. Here's the full quote. Not my call. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starlight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen. Right. Here's the thing. He's trying to show you, like, I don't think he's saying, like, again, when you only see this is what all the headlines are going to say. Borderlands CEO says, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to afford $80. He's like, man, it's not my call, dude. But man, if you want this game, this is what I did when I really wanted the game. I figured it out. Like, I don't know. That just feels... I will always take somebody being raw and honest and kind of stepping in it over what we typically get, which is corpo, like, approved nothing. Like the thing that Bungie read on their stream on Friday. I would have had way more respect if homie would have walked out and been like, you know what? This is on me. I saw an art style that I liked, and instead of doing the job of iterating on that style, I just stole the work because it was that good. Thought I'd get away with it. I didn't. I'm sorry. And I'm stepping down. Like, just raw, honest, just wear it. You know what I mean? Yeah, he is probably unhappy about it being 80. That's the other thing that's so stupid about this. Everybody's going to be wasting their emotional energy and rage yelling at Randy Pitchford when he's trying to tell you, it's not up to me. If it was up to him, he wouldn't raise the price. He'd be like, no. He talked about this in their Q&A session last week when we co-streamed it. He's trying to tell you, he's like, it's not up to me. And everybody's going to get mad at him when it's like, well, it's the publisher that's doing it. It's not him. He's not like, yeah, dude, I'm going to buy a new car. Games in 1991 were sold complete. A game was 80, increased immensely since 90. Price is the focus, though. Oh, a game was it. That was it. Right, but Jake, let me explain something to you. The Borderlands 4 we're going to be buying for $80 out of the box is going to be 1,000 times bigger and more substantive than games that we bought back then. The 4 playable characters, the campaign, the story, the world, the loot table alone. Are we seriously? You want to compare? Well, it's not complete. Well, it's saying it's setting up to be added to, sure, but come on. I'm not saying it's not. No, I'm just adding clarification to what you're saying, because you're saying the game was complete and that was that. Right. I don't think you're going to be buying this game for 80. It's going to be like half a game with only 2 characters. This could be a big game. It's going to be a big game. Just out of the box, it's going to be big. I have confidence in that. I don't think they're going to sell some, like, their games are arguably sometimes too big. Loot tables are too big. Stuff takes too long. I mean, you kind of want to, people kind of want to get to the end game. I don't. I like a longer campaign in a game like this. Borderlands 4 is going to be bigger than Turok 64 and Killer Instinct. I paid $80 for those in 1997. This is a conversation that has gotten me called a corporate shill, because I'm like, listen, we've been eating really, really good for a long time. $60 and $70 for games that are 100 times bigger. I've always done the Zelda comparison. The Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, you compare that to Breath of the Wild. Let's just compare it to Tears of the Kingdom. Roughly in the same pricing hemisphere, $70, $80. $70, $80 back then was way more money. That's like $100 to $120 now. So you're spending less for a significantly larger game. I mean significantly larger game. And I get called a corporate shill for pointing that out. I'm like, what? I'm just trying to give you some balance. You know, everybody tips over and just wants to rage about everything. I'm like, we've been eating real good for a real long time. You can buy one game right now and live in it and do everything there is to be done and get hundreds of hours out of a game. You can get the Oblivion Remastered game. You could get AC Shadows and just live in that game. That game is huge. It's stupid how large some of these games are. He already said they're targeting 60, by the way. Oh, they're targeting 60 for Borderlands? Yeah, they said that. Didn't he also talk about co-op? He's like, just do co-op. You know? Spice King, have you played the Tainted Grail demo? If so, do you think you'll like it more than Avowed? I have review access to Tainted Grail. They sent me a collector's edition. We are not going to be able to do a review of that. Once the embargo lifts, I'll explain why. That's all I can say right now. You could sit down and beat a game in an afternoon back in the day. Not many games you could do that with these days. And size does not always translate into better quality. I'm not saying Tears of the Kingdom is automatically better because it's bigger. I'm just saying if you like Tears of the Kingdom, good golly, you can live in that game for over 100 hours. You're never going to do that in Link to the Past. Even if you exhaustively play Link to the Past and replay it, you're going to get to 100 hours and be ready to be done. You know? Dubear says, the mistake I keep hearing in discussions about price is focusing on numbers and not on feelings. All that matters is what the price feels like now versus then, not what inflation did. I like to balance feelings with facts, though. You know? I do. I like to balance feelings with facts. Like, it's, you know, getting angry about something is fine. But then being like, well, you know, the facts are, gaming is actually just incredibly, in the grand scheme of what we have to buy and what things cost, gaming is stupidly affordable. It is. Like, if you budget for it and you get yourself a console and you're choosy with the games that you buy, or you leverage something like Game Pass or PS Plus, gaming is not at all wringing us out like a rag. It just isn't. We're talking about the audience reaction. It's entirely an emotional response. Right. And I prefer to come along and say, hey, you're having that emotional response. Have you considered these facts? Where's the line? The line is where the consumer allows it to go. The line is where the consumer allows it to go. And I think the thing that is going to benefit us the most in this is it's going to open up more opportunities for games like Expedition 33. I think you're going to see a rise in $50 and $60 games. Because a smaller studio knows we can get away with this, and it makes us automatically more compelling. Let me rephrase. I don't think people in their feelings can be moved with facts. They need to have their feelings validated first, and then we can help them to the light. Well, I mean, yeah. I can't every time be like, I get why you're mad. The ultimate problem is people feel entitled to buy their games brand new day one. That is part of the discussion that I think gets lost, is people are like, if you're okay with waiting, you can save a lot of money. And you can save yourself a lot of heartache. Some games come out and you're like, man, I dodged a bullet there. Wait till they're on sale, or dodge the ones that aren't any good. Especially when there's this many games coming out, boys. There's so many games coming out. It's an ocean. Local streamer doesn't care about people's feelings. Film at 11. Yeah, I think that's probably why I never have found like the salt content appealing. Greetings from Greece. Well, hello. Even when I would watch even when I would watch some of it and thought like, okay, haha, am I in here? When I was still friends with one of them. Even then, I was just like, I just didn't like it. I was like, it's just all emotional. It doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't satisfy anything in me. I'm like, yeah, that was a great video. Like, I'm like, okay. 11 minutes to establish that you're angry about something, like, you know what I mean? Or yeah. I don't know. If you wait, you get a cheaper, more complete product sometimes. That's true. That's true, Robert. That certainly happens. That certainly happens. We are past the 3-hour mark, so I need a break. I need a quick break. So if you guys are watching on both platforms, we'll keep it going. Especially you guys are having a nice little neck and neck contest today, and we love to see that. We've got that weekly goal, and then we do stretch goals and stuff. If you guys missed the stretch goals last week, they were hilarious. We made Madam play Doom. She threw down. Then I had to play Doom blindfolded. It was hilarious. This week, we might end up playing Linked Banner of the Spark for you guys. That would be really fun to kind of test out a new co-op game I've been looking forward to. But to test it with Madam in a live stream, we could make that one of the stretch goals or something. Because usually on Friday nights, I prefer just to hang out. But we'll do that. Will you still play Tainted Grail for us? I'm not sure. Yeah. That is under... We're currently, like, discussing that. So, all right, I will be right back, and I will hit ads. I appreciate the support. Guys on YouTube, smash like crazy. We've had a great day. All right, boys. I'm back. I was working, chat, on some more music this morning. You guys go crazy again this week. I'll let you hear some more samples. I'm really honing it. I'm going back, I'm rewriting some of the ones that I'm like, these don't sound as good now because the newer ones sound so much better. So I'm really enjoying it. I really am. Like, even this morning, like, I was like moving a little quicker in the morning so I could have a little bit of time to work on it, like trying to carve out time for it. Yeah, it's totally a slow news cycle. We're just chilling. I mean, you guys tuning in and supporting even when the news cycle is slow is like super encouraging. Like, we crushed it today on both. Like, I think that's kind of fun when it's slow, just like grabbing a topic and just, batting the ball around. Like, obviously, after like an hour and a half to 2 hours, we were kind of done with the topic. But I mean, I've been live for, 3 hours. Like, you're not gonna stay on topic the whole dadgum time. It's just not possible. I wait for bated breath for the Bungie diss track. I think people that are familiar with what happened are going to pick up on things, and you're going to understand the references and the language and the things that I'm saying, but it's not going to play like a diss track. It's more like poetic and like, righteous indignation. Like, it's not going to, it's not going to be like that. What warms your soul, Dirge? Writing AI music. Yeah, I've written lyrics for a long time. Like, I've always had that creative streak in me, and being able to use that tool to bring them to life is like, I don't know. It just is cool. It really is. Like, and it's impressive. Like, I'm not out here trying to get rich or make a ton of money off of it. It's purely a creative exercise, and I'm happy to let people hear it and listen to it. And if anything ever comes of it, great. But that's not the goal. So, release Cry Wolf now. That one, Barrier, is like, I was glad you really encouraged me on some of the structure, because I've turned that into like a template. Like, that's kind of the persona that it's basing some of the newer songs off of. And man, it did something this morning, and I was like, holy crap. It did something yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm getting this thunderous, like, sound in this soaring vocals, like, out of it. And it's like, I'm like, holy crap. Like, how are they doing this? It's impressive. The only thing that's disappointing is I don't think it can go beyond 5 minutes, so I'm having to balance that. Some of the songs I'm like, oh, that was getting so good, and it ran out of time. You want to hear the Lava Blood track? Now that's a shout. That's an old school term. Yeah, Lava Blood. Yeah. You missed all of these? What did you miss, Trill? Bungie knows how to make great artwork, and they just waste it away with crappy random extraction shooter. I think in general we're seeing one piece of a larger puzzle, and I think that's part of the problem. I think if all of their incubation projects were kind of able to fire and kind of like able to hit, it would look a little bit different. It'd be like, well, they're trying to kind of offer like a bunch of different things, and it's not working for one or the other or whatever. But like everything else kind of got shoved, your songs. I did it on Friday night. Yeah, I did it on Friday night for members. You can go. I think Barrier has timestamps. Like people in the Discord were going back and listening to some of it. I was only playing samples, though. I was only letting people hear samples. Is it weird that I heard Gollum in my head yelling thief when I heard about the art situation with Marathon? I mean, maybe. Detective Siege is weighing in on the Randy Pitchford commentary. He says, I'm going to get heat for this, but I'm going to give Devolve Magic, Randy Pitchford, a pass on his comments. I know. It's truly not up to him on the price. Publisher has that discretion. No offense to Randy, but he has always been raw and not the best at answering those types of questions, and I kind of appreciate that. However, what he said is true. If you want something that is not a need, you'll find a way to buy it. That's how it works in the market. I mean, yeah. I don't know. Here. Hot take, I would rather get unfiltered honesty and a raw response than the typical corpo speak HR proof nothing statements. It isn't up to him, and he's speaking as a fan of games. Over-explaining. BL480. Yeah. Late to the con. What's good at Myrtle Turtle? But if D3 did happen with the new engine, would that make it possible to separate PvE and PvP in terms of gun and ability balance? That's a whole other discussion, but I think it's a discussion worth having. I think you would want to separate them. I think you would want to separate PvP and PvE. I think that's always been a dilemma for them. So, like, if you go into, a game like... I've always used Helldivers 2 as an extreme example. I'm not saying Helldivers 2 is like what Destiny should be like. But when you don't have PvP, Helldivers 2 is your ceiling. That's how high you can go. That's how crazy you can get. So think about it. You could give people weapons and abilities that in some contexts are that bombastic. Like imagine a raid or a strike or a boss or something. Are you able to copyright AI music? I mean, according to the terms and conditions of the site, yes, I own the stuff that I'm making, yes. I mean, the lyrics are all original to me. Now, if you went in and I specifically said, hey, make it sound like Dave Grohl is singing this song, and it literally sounded like him, he has a right to protect his likeness. He could take issue with that. But if you're not doing that, the only issue then would be labels or artists taking issue with the learning library pulling from and educating itself on their music without their permission, right? Like, yeah, and this app doesn't let you do that. To be clear, I can't go and tell it to do that. If you put in an actual artist name, it will tell you no, it can't do it. It'll reject it. So, you can just tell it musical styles. So the issue is actually under here. It's in the crust of the programming that people are taking an issue with. The crust of the programming is basically it's educating itself and gleaning and learning by it's consuming all the music that's out there. Well, the music that is available right now to be listened to, it's an ocean. So like, how could like one particular artist be like, hey, that's not fair, that's wrong? It's like, what, everybody's in there. It's a literal ocean. Like, what are you going to do? Even if you just let it listen to public domain classical music and it learns like melody construction and verse chorus construction, bridge, crescendos and all this, like there's probably public domain music where it could learn vocalization and how to mimic a voice and how to make a voice. Like, That debate needs to be figured out. I agree with that. I think that these companies have got to figure out the legality of educating or like a bot or a program basically scraping the earth. You're basically just scraping existence itself. Like right now, the internet's insane, right? If you teach something like that to scrape the internet, it can learn voice intonation, vocabulary. It can learn all those things, and everything's in there. Political figures, YouTubers, music. It's all in there to be pulled from and teach the system how to replicate these sounds. So the difficulty is, where do you have a claim if you're a drop in an ocean that's being scraped? That's the problem. They're like, well, we're not okay with that. We're not agreeing to that. That then gets into weird waters, because like, well, what if these companies are paying for access to these subscriptions so they do have access to the music? Is there something in the terms and conditions? Is there something in copyright law that would say you can't use our music to educate your machine learning library? That would have to become law. That's what's being debated right now. The court case right now being litigated is AI models being trained on copyrighted content. Exactly. Yes. They have to decide, and I truly don't know if I've landed in one direction or the other. I'm like, I don't know. Because you could pay right now and you could listen to copyrighted stuff, and you could literally, as a person, learn and educate, mimic, and take inspiration from that work. And is that same, different? Is this in a completely different category? I would want to see the philosophical legal arguments about it and see which way I'm compelled, because I've not been compelled in one direction or the other. I think everything needs to proceed with caution, with a commitment to being ethical and fair. Outside of that, if those are your parameters, how would that be enforced? I don't know. Basically what they would do is you would have to submit to some type of any, and I'm just shooting from the hip here. Any AI model would have to be able to be open to that inquiry of, what was your model trained by? And if it's trained by copyright material, you would have to pay fee, fine, licensing, something. I feel like that's what they're going to have to come up with. They're going to have to come up with some way of licensure that you would then pay if your model was training off of like Atlantic Records albums or something. But that gets hard to litigate. There's billions of hours of music in existence right now. So some type of a license model. But even then, how do you do that? I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. There's always the potential for like a Spotify or some other company to broker the deal, but even that I think would be difficult. Excuse me. Originally died after the 70s. Oh, originality died after the 70s. I don't think so. It needs to be global. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, what are you going to do if an AI model that is created and trained in Japan or China? What do you do then? Like, how do you have to have like a global agreement about all of this, because if not, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna enforce it? It's super complex. It really is. Like, I would not right now, plant my flag on a position and, and say, oh, I'm gonna build a business model around making money off of these machine learning things, because litigation could come in and destroy the whole dadgum thing. I'm not inclined to think courts will see model training as needing a fair use exemption. That's where we're going to get into fair use, are we not? Because they would say this model is training and then completely transforming what it's learning, so you could never claim that your copyright has been infringed upon, right? Like, I could right now, take music samples and play them for you and do analyzation and breakdown, and that's transformative work. I'm not infringing the copyright. Now you play a dangerous game with music because there's a time limit and stuff, and it gets very, very finicky because the auto ID tracking is going to fire. It happens with trailers and stuff too. Like, these guys have to do all kind of funny things to not get automatically snagged, right? The copyright's infringed upon by uploading a copy. They need to pay for that copy. Oh, so is that the argument? They're taking it and they're uploading it into it. Couldn't they, Eugene, develop a program that listens to the music as opposed to uploading? Would that change it? It's listening to it, and by listening to it, that's how it learns? I'm just asking. I don't know. If fair use was correctly applied, the music guys wouldn't have to be so careful. Well, it's not that it's not correctly applied. It's that it relies on automation. So it will automatically fire and trigger when a guy didn't play more than 17 seconds or whatever the limit is. They'll play the 17 seconds of the song and then they'll commentate, and it'll trigger it because it's all automated. That's the biggest problem. I'd argue a computer listening is creating a copy. Okay. Yeah, they're going to have to see if they can make a compelling legal argument to what Eugene is saying. Does listening or uploading constitute needing to pay for that? What program are you using? It's called Suno, S-U-N-O. It's all on a website. And I have not landed on a position, and I'm not out here trying to get rich and make a bunch of money off other people's work. I'm literally doing it as an exercise and just artistic. I'm just enjoying creating. I'm not a musician, but I can write lyrics. I've always been a bit of a poet and a lyricist, and short stories and all this other stuff that I've always enjoyed writing. And this is allowing me to bring that to life, which is super cool. But it is complicated because it's basically doing it because it's been trained off of all the musical genres and songs that are out there. And the argument is that's an infringement of their copyright because it's being, uploaded or whatever. My frustration with that is a lot of them are claiming that, but if they're getting it from Spotify, it's Spotify is so scummy with respect to how artists are treated to begin with. So you're really going to argue and let Spotify or these conglomerates be your shield to be oh yeah, well, you're downloading it from our app and that constitutes a breach of copyright. It's I wouldn't want that to be my argument because the subscription service model and what it's done, so many people now, so many artists and stuff are having to come up with other ways of making money because it's just so difficult for them to make money on the subservices. But the subservices have completely changed the entire musical landscape. For them to be your hero and your shield, like Spotify arguing oh, you can't download the music from our database, that's a breach of copyright. It's for them to be your shield of all things, holy cow, the music industry has really fallen down into a pretty low state if that's the way of things. From what I've watched, the scrapers are also ignoring blocks that request not to be scraped. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. For sure. It's all of a sudden people are going to be man, I'm really glad Spotify is saying, hey, don't do that. Wild times that we live in. Because artists for the longest time have very much vilified Spotify and the other platforms. They don't like them. They don't like what they've done to the industry. They don't like what they've done to their ability to make money in the industry. You want about Disney, but they managed to turn the original Star Wars film into the third act of an incredible trilogy, and I must give them flowers where is due. They need to let him do whatever he wants. That's what I would do. I would hand that man a trilogy. Right now, I would. I would hand him a trilogy. Yo, the Gentle Killer comes in with 2 months and gets us to 359. Or they're just both your enemies. This is true. This is true. And to a trilogy, the guy that oversaw Andor. What's his name? I would let him do whatever the frick he wants. Tony Gilroy. Did he do season 1 as well? I feel like he did. Didn't he do both? Are we talking about training large language models? I'm not sure. I mean, essentially that's what it is. What's my favorite band? I usually go with the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters I can always go back to. Like, I don't know if I've had an album from them not hit. No, I've not messed with Darth AI in Fortnite. It's Dune all over. Everyone loves it. I'm just sitting here falling asleep. You got to try to... You're probably in the same status that a lot of us are in, though. You got to try to watch it when you're not tired, because it definitely has episodes that are more slow-moving. But, buddy, when it pays off and it gets intense, whoo-wee. So well done. Foo Fighters just fired Josh. What? Oh. There's just so much to the AI art discussion. Yeah, I mean, it's been a discussion for a long time, because like automation and AI have been present in these tools for a while. You know, Photoshop has had AI autofill for years. There's probably so much artwork that you've seen, promotional materials and all this, that have used AI in that way. Not now where it like draws the entire image and the fingers are all messed up. Like, that's been in Photoshop for a super long time. Like, I can basically say, get rid of this tree, or fill in the sky with more clouds, or, you know, get rid of these letters. Like, it just does autofill, and it does content aware autofill. It basically studies the pixels around and it tries to mimic it to get rid of a tree or a beach ball or whatever, like if you're trying to remove items. Kerry Patel, the director behind Avowed, has left Obsidian for a new opportunity at Netflix Games. I don't think that's a controversial exit. He was there to the product shipping. I feel like they were proud of what they shipped. That's fine. I would say it is a little concerning, though, that we are continuing to see directors leave. I don't think directors like working with Microsoft, under Microsoft. I don't think they like it. Creative directors and directors there seem to be a pattern of them leaving. Like, they don't, I think, and it has nothing to do with Xbox. It has nothing to do with Phil Spencer. I think it's Microsoft. I don't think they like working under Microsoft. Was in a 3-hour training and just got done. This is about hypothetical discussions of Destiny 3 or an actual announcement. It was a hypothetical discussion about, like, this is what I've actually advocated for what Bungie should do. I don't think that they should continue with Destiny 2 or Marathon. I think they should procure funding. Procure funding with PlayStation and work on Destiny 3. Off topic, a remaster D1. I don't know if they would want to dedicate the resources to doing a remaster of a D1, because I think it's hard to I think it's hard to do the the remake or the remaster of a live service game. I think it's difficult. If they announce that I pick it up, the expansions, I skip the play. Right, but how do you do that with a live service game? You know what I'm saying? Like, because you got to kick up the servers and get all the infrastructure ready to go. People are going to try to play D1. I don't think they would ever justify the spends to do that. Because I think it would be a flash in the pan. I think people would pay for a month and then they'd move on. You know what I mean? It'd be awesome. I'd love to go back and play those old strikes and those old raids and see the old weapons and see the old abilities in 60 FPS high res. That would be a dadgum treat. But I don't think that they would do it because I think the infrastructure alone would negate the choice. They'd be like, we're not doing that. Like, you know, like there's so much that they have to do to get something like that up and running. I think it would end up not being like right now. The remake remaster, you know, is a cash cow because it's cheap to do. They make a ton of money, right? They don't make a ton of money, but they make profit easily, I should say, you know. And I just don't think that you're going to see a live service game get that treatment. Yeah, Kojima's game Fizzant, he said it's going to take another 5 or 6 years. I don't know why they announced that. Do you think the industry gets trends wrong like extraction shooters? Oh, yeah, they for sure get trends wrong. They're either late to the party and everyone is fatigued by it, right? So everyone, like, you know, BR. Like, saturation or fatigue can make you late to the party. So, like, battle royales. You're dealing with a saturation issue if you would try to do a battle royale right now, right? But you might be dealing with a fatigue issue as well. Like, people just aren't interested in that style game, that genre game, or whatever. But I think you also miss the mark when I think the extraction shooter push was not pushed by passion or desire. I think it was pushed by vacancy. That's what I think. There was vacancy, and they thought vacancy equaled opportunity. Oh, well, it's just really Tarkov and Hunt. You know, Frontier died to cheaters, or whatever it was called. The one on Steam. I always forget the name of it. So I think they thought vacancy equals opportunity. Vacancy could also equal limited opportunity. Like, I don't think there's a ton of people like pining for an extraction shooter. I just don't think so. I remember when you used to do PvP commentary, watching top PvP streamers go at it. He was quite good at that. Very entertaining. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, split screen. Yeah, I would shoutcast people playing like Trials and stuff. What are your thoughts on the rumored Xbox hybrid console that's supposed to be Windows-based? Is Microsoft trying to kill Xbox and push gamers to PC gaming? I think they're trying to offer a cascade of access points. I think they just want to make sure if you want to engage on a phone, a tablet, a PC, or whatever. I don't think they're a hardware-centric platform anymore. Like, I don't think they're ever going to have a traditional console ever again. I think whatever they do in the future is going to be different. Handheld could be, you know, handheld hybrid, PC hybrid, something like that. Like, I think a traditional console is not going to be coming from them. We should probably go to the green room, though. Am I all paid up? Hang on. I don't know if I'm all paid up. Do I owe YouTube? I feel like I owe YouTube. Yes, I owe YouTube a 10, don't I? Because of what Pathalon Phoenix did. Yeah. Do I owe anybody else? Because I think, did Twitch sneak in and get any more? I don't think they did. All right, here's the 10. I should probably start doing them. I should probably start doing them when they happen, so that I don't forget. Doug Cockle, the voice of Geralt, has hit back at criticism of The Witcher 4 focusing on Ciri, telling so-called fans of the franchise to read the damn books. Here he says, Twitch BTFO'd again. Yeah, Twitch. Twitch was looking really strong today, though. They put up a great fight. I mean, I'll be honest. Pathalon Phoenix won the day for YouTube, because if you take his 50 bomb away, it's 45 to 81. So he gave y'all the W today. He said, we are not letting Twitch win. He's like, not on my watch, bro. So let me get the green room scheduled. You guys on Twitch don't need to go anywhere. I'll just switch it to sub-only chat. We're cooked if the heavy hitters move to Twitch. You got to watch out, man. Twitch played a good game today. Alex, Cardoc Ren, Detonator, I'm Capo. They all were throwing down, man. They were putting up a good fight. If you guys are watching on Twitch, we are getting ready to go to a segment called The Green Room. Eventually, this segment will be a subscriber-only segment, like you won't be able to watch. I can't do that because I'm not currently a partner. I'll be able to apply for partner in another month. So I will be switching the chat to sub-only. If you sub to my channel, you don't miss out on these segments, and you will never see an ad on my channel. It's constantly running ads to minimize the pre-roll. So you won't see those ads if you're a sub. So it's well worth it. You can use your Twitch Prime on me. You can do a normal sub. All those things get you in. So appreciate you guys. I'm going to make that switch now. You guys on YouTube, use the link in chat. You can head over to the Green Room. And I will redirect you as well. Hey, thanks so much for checking this out. If you're watching this later, maybe you just check the playlists and the feeds on YouTube later. It means you are a Member Plus or a VIP. It means you support the channel directly, and that is how we do this. The people that gift, the people that go crazy, the people that maintain their Member Plus. If you're watching the tail end of this or you're watching on Twitch, this is the extra content that we do, and this is what basically keeps this thing going, is the people that support directly. If you have to stay on a gifted, you're like, man, I just can't afford it right now, that is totally fine. That's one of the reasons I really implore people to upgrade to Member Plus if they can. So I'm going to end the previous stream and redirect folks over